Remember that movie, that commercial from Geico? Hump Day, yeah, Wally, Wally, Wally. I love that commercial. Anyway, it's Wednesday. Thank you for the Wednesday, coming to the Wednesday edition of the Fanfare with Barry Cunningham show. Man, do I have a jam-packed couple of hours. Let's just call it that. A whole lot. And you know, I often come on here and I'll say, hey, I've got everything set, got a full show scheduled to go, and then all of a sudden, something happens. Well, this afternoon is exactly that. A whole slate on my schedule here. A whole bunch of stuff that I have planned to talk about. And then, of course, the Trump administration decides to just take and shake the snow globe and say, here's something else you need to cover. Well, today, our vice president, J.D. Vance, along with Stephen Miller, decided they were going to go to Union Station. Union Station is right there in the heart of Washington, D.C. It's the hub where the National Guard are cleaning some things up. And they held what amounts to a impromptu press conference. So we're going to show that because, wow, did Stephen Miller, in the way only he can, completely go off. So that wasn't on the schedule. What I had on the schedule was this. I have information about Fraudsters Inc., all the mortgage fraud, and how that's going to take down the Democrats. I'm going to introduce you to the media's and Democrats' new monster. We're going to tell you why with, Stephen Miller again, while there's going to be no more sanctuary. And we're going to talk to Tulsi, we're going to show you or react to a video with Sean Hannity that Tulsi Gabbard did last night and what she's been doing. It's been absolutely phenomenal how she's cutting through all this. And then in between here, at about 2:30, I've got an interview with Dr. Michael Schwarz. He has his own news show. We're going to be talking about all this. But first and foremost, let's get to J.D. Vance and Stephen Miller destroying, once again, libnuts in the media.
You guys bust your ass all day, we give you a hamburger. Not a fair trade, but we're grateful for everything you guys do. So, how long have you guys been working here at this area? Has it been the whole 9 days?
About 7.
It's been about 7. Okay. General, tell me what's going on here. What are you guys seeing? Okay.
A lot of people are very thankful coming through, thanking us for the opportunity they see that
Yep.
certainly it is the key.
Good to hear. Yeah, of course. Well, a lot's changed in the past 7 days. It's actually kind of amazing. So you guys are doing a hell of a job. We're proud of you. We're grateful to you. And just wanted to come by and say thanks and hang out for a little bit. So let's say hello for a bit. And I think we're going to talk to the reporters. But just want to shake some hands and say hey to you guys. Good, we appreciate it, man. Good to see you, man. Thank you. All right, good to see you, man. Thank you.
How you doing? Good. How are you doing? Good to see highly motivated.
Rodriguez, how we doing, man?
MREs to
Hey guys, take it easy. How y'all doing? Good to meet you, man. Appreciate it. Good to meet you. Hey, how are you doing? Yeah. All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
The screaming you hear in the background are the libnuts outside the room screaming, oh, free Palestine. They're out there just screaming. The Vice President and the Secretary of Defense are walking around shaking the hands of the National Guard who are there to defend him, and they're in the background sounding like howling dogs back there.
I'm honored. Yeah, of course. Yeah, come here. We'll take a photo right now. Where are you from? Oh, great. Okay, awesome. Take a photo here, and we'll make sure you get a copy of this, okay? All right, awesome. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you. Hey guys, how you doing? Good to see you all. How's it going over the hill? Good. Busy summer? Boring summer? Yeah. Super fun. Okay. Good. Okay. Well, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for all your help. Yeah. Good to see you all. Hey guys, how we doing? Good. Good to see you guys. Thank you. What's up, man? Oh, I already said hello to you.
I'm good.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hey man. Appreciate you. was telling Pete that I brought my kids here. People screaming at you, people scaring the kids. It feels a lot better. Yeah, okay, good. We appreciate everything you guys do. We're just trying to help you out a little bit. All right, thank you. God bless you. How you doing, man? Hey, see the vibe. Good to see you. How are you, man? Good, good. Good to meet you. Ron, thank you. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Specialist, good to see you, man. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you. So where y'all from?
South Carolina.
Okay, so pretty much everybody's from South Carolina. Okay, Charleston, Columbia.
Farmers.
Okay, good. We appreciate you guys helping us out. Thank you. It means a lot. Specialist, how you doing? Hey, good. Good to meet you. Thank you all. Thanks. How we doing?
Great.
Good, man. I'm doing good, man. I can't complain. This is a hell of a lot more fun than I do most days. All right, appreciate it. Good to see you, man. Thanks for all your help. Good to see you, man. Thank you. Okay. God bless them, and I appreciate it. Yeah, it means a lot. Thank you. What's your wife and daughter's name? Okay, tell them both I said hey. Thank you. Sorry, how you doing? Very nice to meet you. Yeah, thank you.
Good to meet you. Appreciate what you're doing. Thank you very much.
Which part?
I'm from South Carolina.
You think that we're seeing improvements?
Yes.
All right. So, what's the plan here? Okay. So what's the plan? We do the gaggle, right? Are we doing that up here? Or are we doing that later? Okay. All right. Let's follow Karen here. All right, Karen, you lead the way. Go So you can be up here, your audio guy. Thank you. All right. So we have a few reporters here. So look, guys, what we wanted to do here was a couple things. First of all, we wanted to come and say thank you to the National Guards folks, to the cops for actually keeping this place safe. If you look at what's happened in Washington, D.C. in just the past 9 days, we've seen a 35% reduction in violent crime. We've seen over a 50% reduction in robberies. We are seeing really substantial effects because these guys are busting their ass. So I wanted to come here, highlight what they're doing, say thank you in person, obviously pass out a few burgers, but most of all, just send a message to the American people. Look, we don't have to live like this. We do not have to allow our cities to be taken over by violence and disorder and by chaos. You can actually do stuff. You can actually bring law and order to communities. You've just got to have the political willpower to do it. And I think you hear these guys outside here screaming at us. Of course, these are a bunch of crazy protesters. But I'll tell you, a couple of years ago when I brought my kids here, they were being screamed at by violent vagrants, and it was scaring the hell out of my kids. And one of the things that we've done already in Union Station in just 9 days is we've made it a place where people can walk around safely. They can bring their kids again. They can see this beautiful monument, the architecture. They can have a meal with their friends and their loved ones because, again, we brought some law and order back to Washington, D.C. So I want to thank Pete Hegseth and Stephen Miller. I want to thank all the people, the guardsmen here and the police officers who have worked very hard. And I know that we've traded now some violent, crazy people who are screaming at kids with a few crazy liberals who are screaming at the vice president, but I think that's a very worthwhile trade to make because we want our people to be able to enjoy our beautiful cities. And the last thing I'll say is to the American people, D.C. is already safer than it was 9 days ago, but we're going to make it safer still to come. This is your city. You should feel free to come and visit here, have a meal, see all these incredible monuments, and actually enjoy yourself, and that's what we're trying to make happen. And I think that if we set a standard in Washington, D.C., that political willpower can bring some common sense law and order back to these communities, then maybe some other communities and other cities will follow suit. So it's kind of crazy. You hear these guys outside they appear to hate the idea that Americans can enjoy their communities, and they do the fact that D.C. a week ago had a higher murder rate than Trinidad and Tobago, which the United States State Department has said you shouldn't visit because it's unsafe. We ought to be able to enjoy great American cities. That's what we're trying to do in the Trump administration, and we want to thank all of our law enforcement and National Guardsmen for making it possible. We've made a lot of progress in 9 days. We're going to make a whole lot more. I'll let Pete and Stephen Miller say something, and we'll take a few questions from the reporters. So, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'll just start by saying yes and amen to everything you said. The American people, the residents of D.C., deserve a safe and beautiful city. That's our mission. That's what every one of these captains, lieutenants, staff sergeants, specialists, privates, they're here because they're patriots who serve the country and believe we deserve a beautiful, safe capital. And when I talk to all of them, Stephen, we've all had a chance to talk to them, they're proud of this mission. They're proud to be a part of making sure law and order is established here in the Capitol. We're resourcing them with everything they need, working with our law enforcement partners. So the National Guard, the Defense Department is proud to be standing with you and the President in ensuring we have a safe Capitol that is beautiful, that residents can come visit. We're committed to this mission, just like the one at the southern border and in Los Angeles. Our law enforcement officers deserve to be able to do their job safely, and American citizens, putting American citizens and our country first, is something President Trump has emphasized from the beginning. So thank you to these troops. I know I always liked a good cheeseburger when I was in uniform, so hopefully we can deliver a few of those. It's an honor to be here with you, and also, Stephen, thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you. And first of all, thank you to the Vice President for bringing us here today. Thank you, Secretary, for your leadership, and most importantly, thank you to the men and women of the National Guard. I think here's the most important point. There are residents who lived in Washington, D.C. their entire lives. Their parents lived here. Their grandparents lived here. And they have lived for generations in intolerable conditions of crime and decay. There are parts of the city, I moved to the city 20 years ago. There are places where I've seen graffiti that has been untouched for 2 decades. There are homeless encampments that have made it impossible for families to use public parks and public recreation for as long as I've lived here. There are hundreds of residents of this city who are shot in street violence every single year, making it one of the most violent cities on planet Earth. And for too long, 99% of this city has been terrorized by 1% of the city. And the voices that you hear out there, those crazy communists, they have no roots, they have no connections to the city, they have no families they are raising in this city, they have no one that they are sending to school in this city, they have no jobs in this city, they have no connections to this community at all. But they're the ones who've been advocating for the 1%, the criminals, the killers, the rapists, the drug dealers. And I'm glad they're here today. Because me, Pete, and the Vice President are all going to leave here, and inspired by them, we're going to add thousands more resources to this city to get the criminals and the gang members out of here. We're going to dismantle those networks, and we're going to prove that a city can serve for the law-abiding citizens who live there. We are not going to let the communists destroy a great American city, let alone the nation's capital. And let's just also address one other thing. All these demonstrators that you've seen out here in recent days, all of these elderly white hippies, they're not part of the city and never have been. And by the way, most of the citizens who live in Washington, D.C. are black. This is not a city that has had any safety for its black citizens for generations. And President Trump is the one who is fixing that with the support of the Metropolitan Police Department, the support of the National Guard, and our federal law enforcement officers. So we're going to ignore these stupid white hippies that all need to go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old, and we're going to get back to the business of protecting the American people and the citizens of Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Stephen. A few questions.
Mr. Vice President, why are troops stationed here at Union Station on the National Mall instead of areas in D.C. where crime is statistically highest?
Well, if you've ever been to Union Station in the last few years with your family, you know that crime is actually extremely high right here in Union Station. You have vagrants, you have drug addicts, you have the chronically homeless, you have the mentally ill who harass, who threaten violence, who attack families, and they've done it for far too long. This should be a monument to American greatness. This should be a place where you can come and share a meal or go shopping with your family. It should not be a place where parents of small children are afraid to bring them because, to Stephen's point, we have empowered criminals over the people who actually need public safety in the city. So I think Union Station is a great example of what's possible when you actually have the political willpower to bring law and order and common decency back to the public spaces of the United States of America. So many Americans live in cities, they occupy these spaces, they know how unsafe they are, and they would love to be able to just live their life in places like Union Station without violent criminals making it impossible. We have changed so much in 9 days, and I thought it important to highlight how great of a space this could be, how easy it could be to actually enjoy something like Union Station if you just had politicians who stopped prioritizing violent criminals over the public citizens who deserve public safety in their own communities.
And to add to that real quick, we talked to a first responder before we came up here, said this is their #1 call location is Union Station for first responders. So it's not as if this is insignificant. In many ways, this is part of the epicenter. And we go to that and return it to the safe location that it should be. It also frees up resources around the city. And you've seen a majority of the arrests happening in a lot of those places that need help.
That's right. Well, look, we'll ultimately let the President of the United States determine where we are after 30 days of this emergency order. I think that we're going to make a lot of progress over the next 20 days. I think that we're 9 days into this thing. But if the President of the United States thinks that he has to extend this order to ensure that people have access to public safety, then that's exactly what he'll do. If he thinks he doesn't have to do that, obviously he'll make that determination. But what we're going to do is try to empower these guys to do as good of a job as possible to bring public safety and order back to Washington, D.C. This is the national, cultural, and political capital of the world's greatest nation, and you talk to people, black, brown, white, so many of them are afraid to bring their kids into its public spaces. It's a shame. It's a blight. It actually should make every American ashamed that the world's leading superpower, our national capital, was unsafe for families to walk around at night. That is a disgrace. We don't think that it's acceptable, and thank God we have the presidential leadership to change it, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. Well, I think that crime statistics all over our country were massively underreported because a lot of people would pick up the phone, they'd call somebody, they'd try to get help, and nobody would show up. If you look at wait times, at 911 response times all across our country, but certainly in Washington, D.C., they were way too long. And that wasn't because of the D.C. police, that was because there was too much crime and too few law enforcement agents on the street to bring order and decency to this city. You talk to these guys. I talked to 3 police officers earlier. I've talked to the National Guard. They are so happy that they've been empowered to do their job, which is to make American streets safe for American citizens. And I think that empowerment is going to keep on going until we make America, and D.C. in particular, a safe place again. I'm sorry?
Are you going to be releasing evidence of this?
Of what? That D.C. has a terrible crime problem? You just got to look around. Obviously, D.C. has a terrible crime problem. The Department of Justice...
Okay, I don't know if you heard it. He's like, what? This idiot reporter, are you going to release evidence of that? You mean of crime? Of the dead bodies? What? The vice president of the United States had to take a double take. Of what? You're going to release evidence of it? Oh my God.
Statistics back it up. The FBI statistics back it up. Just talk to a resident of this city, this beautiful, great American city. Don't they deserve... we talk about human rights. We hear these people outside screaming, free D.C. Let's free D.C. from lawlessness. Let's free Washington, D.C. from one of the highest murder rates in the entire world. Let's free Washington, D.C. so that young families can walk around and feel safe and secure. That's what we're trying to free D.C. from. And as Stephen said, it's kind of bizarre that we have a bunch of old, primarily white people who are out there protesting the policies that keep people safe when they've never felt danger in their entire lives. Well, I'll let these guys jump in. I mean, look, on the Russia-Ukraine war, we'll obviously have time to talk about that. I think the president campaigned on being a president of peace. He's already ended 6 wars. He's trying to end another. I think it's kind of disgraceful that the American media is attacking the president for trying to bring peace to the world. But most importantly, the president is trying to bring peace to the streets of our own cities. I really can't overemphasize this enough. It's the greatest country in the world. We've got moms and dads and young families. Shouldn't they be able to enjoy public spaces without vagrants taking away basic public safety from the American citizenry? The fact that it's taken so long to bring common decency and law and order back to Washington, D.C. is an indictment of a generation of failed leadership, and I hope these guys know how grateful we are that they're doing the job that so many fail to do. They're actually keeping the city safe. We're proud of you, and we're grateful to you. I'm sorry? I'm highly skeptical that a majority of D.C. residents don't want their city to have better public safety and more reasonable safety standards within Washington, D.C. I don't know what poll you're talking about. Maybe the same polls that said Kamala Harris would win the popular vote by 10 points. Okay, we're going to stop there. We're going to grab a quick bite with some of the soldiers here and the National Guardsmen who are keeping the city safe again. I just want to say we're grateful to these guys. You guys are making D.C. safe again. We're proud of you, and we're grateful to you. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, you can actually feel that this administration has said, I don't give a F what you people think. We are no longer playing this game. We're going to do what we feel is right for America. And the best part about that, the absolute best part of that, and I wonder how many media outlets will even carry it. Here's why. It looked like something out of The Shining. It looked like something out of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They couldn't have paid for that set. That was absolutely perfect. I don't know if President Trump picked it. I don't know what they did because out of safety, they could have said, we need to push these people back. So it was a conscious effort and make sure they're close enough so the mics can pick up their wailing and gnashing of teeth. And I dare the national media to show that on television because anybody with a thought in their head is going to look at that and go, these people are effing nuts. They're absolutely crazy. It went on, that was a 19-minute cut, 19 minutes that went on. And the entire 19 minutes, they're all screaming in the background. And I'm thinking to myself, this is perfect. What a greater depiction of the insanity of liberals than to have those 3 gentlemen sitting there smiling, just looking around going, you hear these crazies, right? They had to have known in advance the crazies were going to be there. They had to have seen it and no, leave them. Number one, we're surrounded by National Guardsmen and cops, so I think we're safe. Plus, we got Secret Service. Let them scream. The background, the epiphany, the cacophony of insanity was perfect. Absolutely perfect. I feel like Spielberg couldn't have directed that any better. So what do you want to portray today? Well, we want to portray safety, and we want to portray the liberals arguing against safety. How can we set a scene so people could see the extreme contrast between intelligence and lunacy? Oh, I got it. We'll go to Union Station and we'll let the nuts, the zombies surround the interview screen and let them scream the entire time while they see 3 men in suits and soldiers sitting there and they're screaming free DC. And that one reporter, you got any evidence of crime? I had a perfect answer for her. He said, honey, here's some evidence. Tonight, you're white, right? Yeah. Tonight, do me a favor and just walk into one of the places where the National Guard aren't. And then when you call 911, you'll have all the evidence you want. If you're still there. Don't bring any jewelry. and leave all the other nuts behind. Just saunter out by yourself into one of the neighborhoods that we're not quite protecting yet. Oh my gosh, I couldn't have scripted that any better if I did it myself. If you guys all sat together in a meeting with me and said, Barry, how can we expose the complete insanity of the left and get the media to show it? Well, let's do a press conference in the insane asylum. I think you got something there, boss. Yeah, we'll just do we'll do a press conference in the insane asylum. The news wasn't what those gentlemen were saying. The news was what was going on. So I doubt we'll see that on TV. Look around tonight. Look around and see if, other than maybe Fox, look around and see if anybody else covers that. I don't think you'll see it on CNN. I don't think you'll see it on MSNBC, CBS, blah, blah, blah. And that other thing called MS, whatever the hell they are at this point. Nope, you won't see it because there's got to be somebody smart enough to realize, oh, we can't show that. We definitely can't show that. All right, so I've got an interview scheduled up here with Michael Schwarz, and then when we're done with the interview, we'll actually get into the show. That was just a pre-show. That was a warm-up, just getting lathered up. But before we get into the interview, I want to talk to you about gold and silver. Those of you who have tried to buy gold maybe find it too expensive. However, right now, silver is still a bargain, and it still has lots of legs to move. The price of silver, people are saying, may even double in the next year or so. With all the AI stuff and everything they're building for the data centers, you might want to check out silver.
It's genius. It's pure genius. America is the country that started the AI race. And as President of the United States, I'm here today to declare that America is going to win it. We're going to work hard. We're going to win it.
Why do so many financial experts call silver the most undervalued asset today? Because silver is essential to the future, from solar tech and electric vehicles to the explosive growth of artificial intelligence. Demand is rising fast, and yet silver is still trading at a bargain. With billions pouring into AI, silver prices have only one place to go, and that's up. In fact, silver may be the most overlooked asset class in financial planning. The opportunity for silver is well documented. The market for silver could double or even triple by 2026. You see, I believe in hard assets like this bar of silver. You can hold it in your hand, you can put it in your IRA, you can put it in your home safe, and relative to gold, it's very affordable. That's why I urge you to call my friends at Lear Capital and get their free report, The AI Revolution, and see why silver prices could be set to soar. Call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. But don't wait. We all know. We've seen it. The government can print lots and lots of dollars, but they can't print silver. All right, everybody. I have here an interview with Dr. Michael Schwarz. He's been on the show, I think, a couple times at this point. If you'd like to follow him, go to MJ Schwartz1. And in addition to that, he also has his own show that he broadcasts on X. You can see it right here. Can you hear me there, Michael?
I can, Barry. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm great.
I don't know if you caught much of that interview, and I didn't. I mean, not interview, press conference. And I didn't expect it, but it just showed up in my feed, so I had to grab it. What is going on with these liberals in Washington, D.C.? Or actually, they're not in Washington, D.C. They just keep coming in, causing problems in Washington. Why are they so against the place getting cleaned up?
I mean, I didn't catch the press conference, but my stepson had lived there for the last 2.5 months, interning for a congressman. So we got to experience Washington a little bit more than usual. We were in on about 6 trips. And I got to tell you, my last trip in the other day to pick him up, he said to me, Barry, he said, this is the cleanest I've ever seen it. Like, it's kind of amazing. We went out on scooters at about 10:30 at night. I think Donald Trump was actually out in the motorcade looking around as well. And we were just amazed at how quiet it was. Nobody was yelling and screaming. There were federal agents just kind of, hanging out, presence. But it was nice to see them, because when you're walking on the mall at night, which is not very well lit, it is nice to have a lot of different police there to make you feel safe so you can go out and experience the city.
And the fact that they are trying to say that that is a bad thing, that what they were screaming in the background was free DC, which essentially is what the president is trying to do, is trying to free DC from the crime. And I don't know how or what strategy it is for people to come out against safety. And it seems as though the Democrats at this point want to die on this hill in terms of, we want to, what did one person on MSNBC said, we have to rethink safety. And I don't think there's anybody out there that wants to rethink safety. We all know what safety is. I know you and your family, you must know what safety is. You need to rethink it?
No, I definitely don't. It's kind of funny. I played a clip this morning of Ron DeSantis, and he was talking about, a reporter had asked him, they said, why are you so successful in Florida? He said, all I got to do is look at what a blue state is doing and do the opposite of it. And I tell my audience that every day. It's like what the Democrats say. It's amazing how they suspend reality to come out against things that are just common sense to the rest of us. So, and a lot of media is starting to catch on too. And I hate to say that because the mainstream media, you and I rail against them because we kind of are the media now. But they're starting to catch up, and they're starting to say things like, this looks like a trap for Democrats, because when you put something so obvious out there and say, hey, we're going to fix it, and a Democrat comes out against it, there are people in the middle who look at that and say, wait a second now, I think they've finally lost it.
Absolutely. By the way, love your dog back there. My dog's always walking around, but that is like the biggest dog bed I've ever seen. It is huge.
That's my stepson's beanbag chair that I inherited, and it takes up half the room, but the dog loves it. So yeah, that's Vinny back there.
It looks like it's a dog bed for a Great Dane. He looks tiny in it, absolutely tiny, but he's cute. DeSantis, I live down here in South Florida, and when he said that, I knew exactly what he meant, because they are everything, just do a complete Costanza and do completely different. So, next topic I want to ask you about, because I'm going to be covering it later. Did they find the Achilles heel of the Democrats? And what I mean by that is, it seems like Bill Pulte is onto something. He's going in, he's looking at the mortgage applications that these people have filed. First it was Letitia James, then it was Adam Schiff, and now the Federal Reserve Governor Cook. It seems like it's easy picking. Could this be something to take down the deep state, sort of like how they took down Al Capone?
I hope so. I was reading up on this because I knew this was one of the topics you wanted to talk about. I was looking at the penalties. I'm in my first year of law school. Don't ask me why. I decided to do it late in life. And I'm looking at this. I'm looking at these penalties, and they're pretty severe. 20 years, but if bank fraud is involved, it's up to 30 years, $1 million fine per instance. So these could be career-ending jail sentences for these three individuals if the federal government decides to move it along. It looks like, because of the political trajectory of where we're going right now in this Trump administration, it looks like we'll actually do that here, because most of the time, every time we bring up somebody's, indictable, you look at what, Obama now with what they're trying to do to subvert the 2016 election. My audience is kind of numb to it, and they feel like no one's ever going to get prosecuted. But the amount of the way Letitia James and Adam Schiff went after this president, he would look weak himself if he didn't have his own DOJ go full force after these people. So, and I don't care if it looks like political retribution, because that's exactly what they were trying to do to us. So I think there needs to be a lesson learned here. I hope they get the fullest extent of the law. And it's kind of funny. We always say, Barry, you shouldn't throw stones in glass houses. Look exactly what happened here.
Absolutely. And the thing with this is, and you touched on it as well in terms of this one seems to have more meat almost, is because everybody lived through the 2020 election. We saw what was happening, but it was all over the place. And which crime do you charge them with, and how could you do it? And it's going to take all kinds of lengthy investigations to prove it. This one's pretty easy. If you falsified a mortgage application and you signed your name to it, that's pretty much all you need. There's no way you don't have to prove intent and all this other stuff like you would with some of the other things. So I think it's a brilliant move if they can make it stick and if they go after it. It seems like now they've got 3 of these people on the hook. I can't imagine how many more people took out government loans and everything else, and it's being in real estate, I can tell you, it is very, very easy to trace. And I just want to jump back on something you said as well. Just it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but the fact that you just said at your age and what you've already accomplished in life, now you're going to go to law school.
Yeah, yeah. I
Why?
don't. Yeah, good question. A lot of my friends said, "Why?" I said, I always wanted to do it. I always wanted to learn something. I found a program that would take me in. I have a doctorate, so it wasn't hard to get in. It was just one of those things. Do I want to make the time commitment? But it as a show host, it rounds you out. I mean, I have a doctorate in business administration. I have a couple medical certs, former police officer. So you want to bring your experience to, what you're doing on shows like this and, my own show. So the law is interesting. You think all these years, I've 30 some years in business, you think you know a lot about the law until you go to law school. You learn a different language. It's learning Latin. It's learning, common law, UCC, putting it all together. It really teaches you a different way to think. So for me, Barry, it's just trying to, further my education and learn something new. That's all.
I commend you because it's what I've been trying to impart on people for so long is if you see something, go for it. You don't need to. You've already had your accomplishments. You've been in business, but you saw something and said, you know what? I want to do this. And I commend anybody who gets that kind of inspiration and says, I'm going to go get this done. And you're going to tackle something that's not just easy. It's not like you can all of a sudden, hey, I'm a lawyer today and be done with it tomorrow. But
well, don't get me wrong. I'm never going to practice. It's not something I ever want to do. I even tell that to my stepson who wants to go to law school. I said, all my friends who are lawyers tell me, do not practice law. But it's a great, JD is a great thing to have. I see a lot of lawyer friends. They get depressed. They're tired of doing it. They want to get out of it and be a judge. And if they can't do that, they'll go work for a company somewhere. But it is a great education to have. And I'll tell you what, I'm only in 2 months, Barry, and my brain is already fried from all the flashcards, the assignments. I'm like, I don't have enough crap to do in my life already.
It's so funny how many lawyers I've seen who've left practice and have YouTube channels now, and they talk about the law because there's always something happening, always some superhero trial on, and there's one lady, I don't know what's her name, Emily Baker. Do you ever see her stuff?
No.
Emily basically, like when the Diddy trial was going on, all she did was comment on what was happening and then let people know what was happening from a legal perspective so that they would understand. And she's doing fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So yes, I think it broadens what you're looking to do as well on your channel. So speaking of more of law, Tulsi Gabbard goes on Hannity last night. And in going on Hannity, she's talking about revoking even more security clearances. Where do you think that's headed?
I mean, it's opened a big debate, but when you look at who they're doing, it's, former congressional aides. I mean, you can kind of go down low on the totem pole to see who they're revoking. A lot of people are going to ask why they still have security clearances anyway. When you see what happened, and most of this is surrounding the Russia hoax in 2016, right. 2017, and rightfully so. Look, if you're Adam Schiff, and you were putting that information out there knowing that it was false, trying to further a narrative to try to subvert this republic that we all forget we live in, and you had staffers doing the same thing, they should be revoked. I mean, there's no way they should ever get a job in government anymore. There's no way they should ever work for a contractor anymore. If you were, trying to subvert the American public with this false narrative. I mean, we were talking this morning. I said on my show, Adam Schiff should be hung or shot for I don't know what the treason is. I mean. Yeah, we laugh, but it's like a lot of people think that treason is its own category. It's not a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. It's its own category for a reason. It's basically the highest crime in the land. And if this guy knew what he was doing was wrong, which I think we all know by now, and he was going out there as a congressperson and now as a U.S. senator doing that, you are the definition of treason. I'd like to see the most serious consequences for that guy because he did subvert the will of the people. All the things, my interest rates, my supply chain issues, the prices we all had under the Biden administration. I mean, it's all smoke and mirrors because it wasn't supposed to happen in the first place, right? We really won that election. You look at the mail-in ballots. So we lived under a Manchurian candidate, essentially. And a lot of that's due to guys like Adam Schiff and the 37 folks and more to come that she's removing off these security clearance lists.
And now that you're into the legal aspect of things, of trying to be a lawyer, or not trying, will be a lawyer, and you're also in the media, when you put those two things together, how does the media extricate themselves from their involvement and complicity with what went on over the last, 5-6 years?
Yeah, I always say they're as culpable as anybody. I mean, my mom passed away a year ago. I talk about her on my show. She died thinking that there was Russian collusion in the 2016 election. She'd never, and I try to explain it to her, Barry, but that media is so powerful. And when you're older and you're used to watching, as I say on my show, fake news, ABC, fake news, CBS, you're watching them all. That's where you think your reliable sources are. You don't realize they're just pitching a narrative to you. So, my mom, like I said, on her deathbed, believed that Donald Trump was an illegitimate president. She just didn't get it. And I have a lot of folks in my family who are the same way, and they will try to influence you. There's nothing worse than a dumb person who thinks they're smart because they read an article somewhere or heard something on MSNBC, and they're using that as their site. So I hope they get sued as well. I mean, look, freedom of the press is important, and I get it. But when you are a journalist, you should be ashamed of yourself when you are not chasing certain stories, when you are furthering just a narrative. They do it to us, but they just sat back during the Biden administration and said, we don't care. We'll just come out and say what the White House wants us to say.
Absolutely. And it was funny how quick they pivot. I'm sure you've noticed it. I made fun of the movie Monsters, Inc. because for the last 10 years or so, it seems like Putin has been this big monster that they've had to have the villain. And now that that's kind of fallen apart in front of everybody's eyes, now it seems like they've completely moved into slavery. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you people doing? Everything's racist. Everything's Russia. How are they now trying to drum up slavery opposition or something?
It's a big distraction. That's all it is. Anytime you and I start drilling down on the issues, they go, too many people are paying attention. Let's distract them with something else. I mean, we know the facts on slavery. We weren't the first, nation to abolish it. I think England did it a few decades before us, but we were one of the first, and we did it with the Republican Party. That was the mantra back then. Lincoln got elected on that platform. They soon forget. They forget about civil rights, that we were the ones pushing that. It was the Democrats who had Jim Crow laws. They forget it was and then the Democratic Party, with the media's help, just comes in and distracts people. If people just knew the truth about things and actually studied and dug down on the issues, we would not be having these ridiculous conversations every day. I think I said it on your show last time, Barry. We're going to be having the same show in 20 years because they seem to get away with the distractions very easily. Most people, I say this in my book, my first book, Barry, the average IQ in this country is 100. And if you think about that, half the country has an IQ of less than 100. And the Democrats have no problem pandering to those people to try to get them to vote.
Wow, when you put it like that, I never knew that. 100's the average?
That's about right in that range. Wow. But think about that. Half the country. We are trying to convince and teach half the country who is not capable of understanding it. But the Democrats are smart enough. There's some of them who are smart enough to know that all they got to do is pander to that portion of society. Then there's ones that get elected who are in that mold, like Jasmine Crockett, who are in that IQ level. But some of them get elected. It's crazy.
Are you up where you're? I think I remember you're in Jersey, right?
I am. Yeah, I used to be down in Tampa. Before that, I was in Monroe County. I was in Key West for a little bit. I had an office down there, and I also have an office here. I'm primarily up here in Jersey now.
So what in the hell is happening in New York City? Are they really going to elect a communist Marxist mayor? And what will you guys in Jersey do when you get the complete refugees that coming out of New York?
Well, I mean, they're here now. I mean, I live in a very red area of New Jersey. We're at the Jersey Shore. So I'm surrounded by Trump boat parades and people that think like you and I. So it's kind of a different and interesting dichotomy. Once you go to North Jersey, that's when you get the suburbs of D.C. That's when they're all, that left-wing loony nut jobs. But when you're down by me, if you split New Jersey in half, we're a Republican state down here. Right. Jack Ciattarelli lost for governor only by a couple points last time, and we typically get a Republican governor for 2 terms and then a Democrat. Phil Murphy upset the apple cart last time, and now Jack Ciattarelli is running again, and hopefully this time he'll win. We have a lot of problems here, a lot of problems from the overflow of New York. but we got a lot of problems of our own. We got a blue legislature here. I don't think you're going to see the refugees from New York City coming down. When you drive up there, Barry, I went in for a Newsmax event with my wife. We're sitting in traffic, and we're going to a conservative event. It was for Bianca De La Garza's book signing. She invited us up there, and we're getting, as we're stuck in traffic, homeless people, screaming on the street, people with masks on. You could see it around you. And I said to Kelly, like, this is not our chat. This is not our audience from the show. Like, hold on, we'll be there in a couple minutes once I get through the traffic. But they live and exist in New York specifically for guys like Mondami because, again, it's that portion of the population that doesn't understand their history. They don't understand communism. They hear free busing, free housing. You could say this all day long. It's like a utopia. But what was that study back in the day? I always forget the name of it. The guy who put the 5,000 mice in a utopia, gave them all the water and the food, and then they found out after a while they started eating their own because even they didn't want to. They didn't live in a utopia. At some point, it's come down. But I think, and I don't know if it was. One of the Republican commentators on ABC said, you know what? He's kind of hoping that Mondami gets elected because he thinks that New York needs to hit rock bottom before it can come back up because they don't know what rock bottom looks like yet. So, we'll just sit here and watch from afar. But it's scary. It's scary when you have a brain and you know what's going on.
It amazes me because I used to, I'm from Connecticut and I spent so much time in New York. And I just think to myself, everybody that I knew in New York, from the Goombas in Little Italy to the roughhousers in Hell's Kitchen to the rich people on Park Avenue, how are they just watching this occur and not doing anything about it?
The rich ones move out, as you see. Donald Trump, Sean Hannity moved out finally. He said, that's it. I'm not giving half my money to New York when he could go down and broadcast from West Palm area. So, you start to see it. You can't get money, blood from a stone once you dry everything up. But the ones that are, looking for free, at some point they become the states, they become the cities like Brandon Johnson, who says, I got no more money. And we're like, we knew, we told you. Yeah. And at some point you got to kind of say to them, like, tough love, figure it out on your own. We're not going to bail you out every time your policies get us into this mess. And I think New York needs to learn a tough lesson. It's sad because, Rudy Giuliani did a great job. Him and my friend Bernie Carrick, God rest Bernie's soul, cleaning up the city, doing a great job. The broken window syndrome, I used to talk about it with Bernie all the time. But when you let it go and you have no, you're not vested in your city anymore and you could care less what it looks like, wait and see what happens when this guy gets into office. And it's kind of funny. Our Democratic gubernatorial candidate in New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill, endorsed him. There's a lot of people. You see Elizabeth Warren is taking her under his wing. What are we doing in this country? I wish these people would just move out. Was it Mark Hamill that said he was going to move? Go. Just get out. We don't need you guys anymore. Like, just please leave. We'll fix it. Barry Cunningham and Mike Schwartz will fix it with our chats. We'll get it all done.
I hope so. And so, your little dog, my little dog's in here running around. Last question before we go. And again, I love the fact that you're into the law right now. What in the heck are we going to do about these judges? It seems as though Biden and Obama seeded the courts with these nut job judges who are ignoring the Constitution, doing whatever they want to do. And then what I keep trying to point out to people is Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice are literally 23 or 24-0. Once it gets to the appellate level or Supreme Court, it gets smacked down. But it's not stopping these judges. How can you be such a rogue ignoramus of the law?
Yeah, I actually said this morning on my show. I said you start to see that when the Supreme Court gets it or gets to a higher level, finally they side with Trump. And Trump's got a really smart legal team. They look at things and say, does it pass the test? When it gets to that level, will it be held up? And the test is yeah. And if it is yes, they move forward with it. And if it's no, they go in a different direction. Right. But and look, I had a legal professor. It's funny you asked me this, because I tell my audience all the time, judges get there for not the reasons you think. You think they're the best and brightest. They get there because, they stuck around long enough. There's this old saying in politics, if you stick around long enough, you'll eventually get the job you want. And I see judges here, Supreme Court, Superior Court judges in New Jersey. I know exactly why they're there. I know that they've stuck around, made the political contributions. They're not there because they're the best. In fact, a lot of people will tell you that Superior Court judges are just failed attorneys. They were really bad at their job, but they stuck around in politics, and eventually they got put where they're at. And you see that all throughout the judiciary, and we have an aging judiciary for that exact reason. People who don't understand things like cyber harassment or AI, they just don't get it.
Right.
You need the best and brightest, whether they're going to do the job. I can never say that word, Barry. The judiciary is one of the worst, where you just don't get that by circumstance of how they get there in the first place.
Absolutely. So, Michael, tell everybody how they can see your Twitter handle, but tell everybody about your show and what you cover and when you're on.
Sure. Rumble is the best place. The Mike Schwartz Show, we do Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we do an evening edition with my lovely wife, Kelly, and Terry Condio, who's watching right now. He just texted me from Vancouver. And everybody wants to know, Barry, when you're coming on our show. I've asked Ashley, Don, one of your viewers, he came over and started watching me. He keeps asking me, when is Barry going to come on your show?
It is happening, Ashley. In fact, right before you came on, or before I went on, Ashley said we got to get a date. So I'm going to let her work it out because she's got our entire schedule. So it's happening. Put it that way. Relatively soon, for sure. In fact, I may be making a trip up to Washington. You're not too far from there in the Jersey Shore before it gets cold up there. I'll let you know. But definitely, I want to come on your show and talk to your people as well.
My audience is looking forward to it, and let's get it set up.
All right, should be in touch with you probably today.
All right, thank you, Barry. Good to see you, buddy.
Talk to you very soon. All right, bye-bye. That was Michael Schwartz, everybody. Again, oops, wrong button. If you'd like to follow Dr. Michael Schwartz, you can go here. This is his profile. I'm previewing one of his shows right there. This is his backdrop at MJ Schwartz 1 on X. Go ahead and give him a follow. And yes, I will be doing his show very, very soon. All right, so let me take a 90-second break, and I will be right back.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, we're back in the chair. Had to run in here like, whoo, hurry up, tick, 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 but I made it. You know what? Haven't talked to you guys in a while, so let's take some comments. May the Schwartz be with you. Yeah, did you guys see Mark Hamill? I'm leaving. Go ahead. I live in New Jersey. I'm in central, more north, through Woodbridge. Nice area up there. I'm in Northern California, and it's Maga County. You know what? It bothers me that people who are in blue states, they have pockets of red, and they just seemingly are left out. Absolutely sucks. Because there's good people in New York. Maybe not right in Manhattan, but all around. And they have to suffer because of people, Hochul and all this crap. There's supposed to be Spaceballs 2 coming out. Yeah, maybe he should be in there. I went on Rumble last night. The chat was flying. Yeah, we had a good show last night. And I don't mean that from, me talking. I mean, people seem to be enjoying themselves. For some reason, I can't get on Rumble. Ask one of the mods. Maybe we can help you out. Very howling dogs is correct. It's amazing. I'm telling you, we won't see that on TV. I would be very surprised if we see that on TV at all tonight. I did want once again, thank you guys. I knew we'd move back up because we were busy last week. But I wanted to show this to you. Again, the new YouTube rankings came out, and I just got an email about them. So I'm going to show them to you right now as well. And where are we? Yours truly came in at 53 this week. 53. So I haven't even looked at this myself. Let me see who we beat out this week. Anybody? Lex Friedman. How the hell did we beat Lex Friedman? Sam Cedar. Pardon my take. We beat them. Joe Budin. He's a big guy. Let's see here. If any Pod Save America. Thank you for helping me beat Pod Save America and those lib nuts. Shane Dawson, that's a big one. Here, the Life Wide Open. See if there are any other big names down here that we beat out. Nope, I think that's pretty much the big name. 60 Minutes, Law and Crime. And let's go above 53 and see who do I have to aspire to beat. There I am at 53, and we're the conservative guys. Got to have Benny and stuff up here, aren't they? Wow. I'm looking. Devori at 24, but it's not really a podcast. Megan, Tucker, Brian Tyler. You telling me Benny and those guys didn't even make it? Wait a minute. Where's Patrick Bet David? No Patrick Bet David and no Benny this week? Did I go past it too fast? Oh, there's PBD. There's Patrick. I didn't see Benny on here. Huh. Interesting. There's Timcast. I don't see... Did I scroll past Benny? Interesting. Very interesting. So Benny Johnson didn't make the top 100 this week. Very interesting. Huh. Wow. Did he take a vacation? I'm not sure. But anyway, my importance for showing that is say thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in and being a part of the show and pushing us to those kind of numbers and being even mentioned with those people is awesome. Thank you guys very much. By the way, let me tell you about one of our sponsors today. You just heard from Lear Capital a second ago, but sometimes you see something and you think to yourself, ooh, man, I need some of that. Well, you need some of this. That was me when I first came across these Trump Never Surrender gold sneakers. They aren't just shoes, they're a full-on statement. Bold, fearless, and unapologetically patriotic. And this is my display demo pair, but the other pair, guess what I'll be sporting down at the Miami Dolphins Stadium this weekend, Saturday night. Oh yeah, I'm kicking it with the Trump Never Surrender sneakers. I mean, just look at these. The gold finish, the red, white, and blue accents. It's like wearing a piece of American pride right on your feet. I know some people think it's ugly because they're so audacious, but so is our president. He's very audacious. He loves his gold. Yeah, you might want to get some of this. And let me tell you, they don't just look good, they actually feel good. The quality is legit, comfortable, durable, and surprisingly lightweight. These kicks aren't going to sit in the back of your closet gathering dust. You'll actually want to wear them, if you're brave enough. Show them off, or even maybe start a few conversations, because people will talk about it. What I love most is the message they send, and that message is never surrender. It's not a slogan, it's a mindset. Whether you're out making moves or just walking into the weekend, these sneakers are a reminder to stand strong and to never back down. They've also become a favorite gift. I mean, we all know someone who would love these gold sneakers. A big Trump supporter, a collector, or just someone who rocks bold style. Now understand, other than the T right there, anybody could wear these. It just looks like Americana. So if someone's worried about it being a Trump sneaker, they're not going to know it. All it says is T right there. So, understand the best part of this stuff is that this is a limited run. Not everybody's going to have them. You're not getting some mass-produced junk. These are exclusive. And there are other sites that you can get them from, but pretty much for the Fanfare family. So if this sounds like your kind of vibe, or if you're already picturing someone in your life who'd flip for these, go check them out. For the Fanfare audience, you get a special discount at themagaoffers.com/Barry. Again, MAGA offers.com/Barry. Go ahead and you can pick up yours now. And also, if you use that code Barry, you'll get 15% off your order. So don't wait too long. They're going fast. And every once in a while, they come back and they say, hey, can you start again? Because they go out, they sell out, and then they say, all right, we're ready. Can you give us some more? All right, that being said, let's continue with the show. Man, I have so much to talk to you guys about. And at this point, I probably won't even get through half of it. And we'll be back here tonight to go over the rest. So before I get to that, I want to show you something. SB sent me. This is funny as hell. We shouldn't laugh. Yeah, we should laugh. All right, so outside while they're doing this, these guys are basically patrolling the mall area of Washington, D.C. And it says, breaking, a guy who just got stopped by the feds at the National Mall just attempted to bolt from custody. He's really smart. He's going to outrun everybody. So the agents tackled him and he started yelling in Spanish. Seems like he's headed for a one-way trip home or down here to Alligator Alley. So let me just show you this brain surgeon. This brain surgeon decides he's going to come in here. He's surrounded. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys. And he's realizing his fate. Nah, I think I can outrun them. Wait a second, bro. This guy thinks, hey, you know what? I think I can take these 6 guys. I think they won't be able to catch me. I'm going to take off. He didn't get too far. Oh. He's screaming. Screaming, oh my God, help me. Crying like a baby. You know how you can avoid the crying like a baby? You know how you can avoid the knee to the back of your head? You know how you can avoid being on people's show as they show you getting taken away? Take the trip. Download the app, 1-800-GOTTA-GO. And you won't have to have any of that. You won't even have to worry. I'm sorry. Wait, should I be laughing? Should I be laughing? I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing with him. You should hear it. I can't play it because these guys would probably get pissed off. But oh my gosh. Hold on. There's more. Ooh, ouch. Ooh, don't do that, please. Ow. Dude, put your hand behind your back. Hurry up. Don't make them do it. They're going to bend you like a pretzel. Oh, yeah. Ooh, Ande. Oh, no. What am I going to do? Oh, they're coming to get me. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, God, no. Oh, you know what? Maybe these people could help you. Y'all thought you were going to get away with it from today, aren't you? Wow, bro. He could have taken the free ticket, but he decided he wanted to fight. Yeah, and then when you fight, that's what happens. Boy, you guys. Oh, what happened here? Somebody said Cracker Barrel has fallen. Oh boy, Cracker Barrel has decided they're changing their logo. As you know, that's been Cracker Barrel's logo forever. And now they're going without the barrel and without the old white guy standing there. Now we're just Cracker Barrel. One day these people will learn. What? Just one day they will learn. What else did SB have here before I get into stuff? Okay, so a lot of people were asking about this. They didn't understand. Bed Bath Beyond announces they will no longer open any stores in California. Businesses are leaving because of Gavin Newsom. Now understand, people were like, Bed Bath & Beyond went bankrupt. They're done. Except Marcus Lemonis, big investor, owns Camping World and a couple other things. Marcus Lemonis bought Bed Bath & Beyond out of bankruptcy. So they're still a operating company. They have brick and mortar stores, but they do the bulk of their stuff online. But now they came out this morning and said, we're not opening any stores in California. I'm not going to deal with the fact of having to put stuff behind glass. And of course, on cue, the libnuts went absolutely crazy. We don't want to live like that. Why don't you people understand? You're not going to force business to come into your seemingly third world country and make people have to put bolts on blankets or electric toothbrushes. We don't want to live that way. So we don't want to have our business that way, and we're not going to conduct it in California. And then, of course, people like, California's got one of the biggest economies in the world. Maybe, but I don't want to be subjected to that stuff. And I applaud him for doing what he needs to do to protect his business. His business. All right, so let's look what President Trump did. This President Trump was out there and he was posting, and he posted this. This would be window 45. Hold on for a second. Let me get there. All right, so President Trump posted this morning. Cook must resign now. This is the woman who, in the Federal Reserve, has joined Adam Schiff and Letitia James, and is now going to take her turn in the barrel as well for, you got it, mortgage fraud. So let's go into this next section I have for you today, and it's all about fraud. the new Capone bookkeeper type thing. If you guys don't remember your history, Al Capone, notorious gangster, who President Trump referenced a whole lot. You must be wondering, why did President Trump reference Al Capone? Well, Al Capone, not because he was caught killing somebody, not because he was caught robbing somebody, not because of his prostitution endeavor, not because of his whiskey and numbers and everything else. He went to jail. He got caught on fraud. The IRS took down Al Capone, and the Capone's bookkeeper became the Achilles heel of his entire organization. And what we're seeing right now, and as it's starting to unfold, the first time it was, they caught, they're going to go after this person. Oh, they're going to go after this person. Now we're seeing there's an active investigatory tool that they are using called mortgage fraud. Because it's so, as I was telling Michael Schwarz, it's so easy, so incredibly easy to prove. Did you sign this? Yeah. Did you say this was your primary residence? Yes. I have your signature. So if this is your primary residence and this is your signature, then how can you have primary residence and signature here? You can't live in two places as a primary residence. That's called mortgage fraud. So easy to prove, and very hard to defend. When I watched, I was gonna cut it and clip it and bring on Big Letty's defense attorney, but he didn't offer anything in defense. The only defense he tried to put out there was that Donald Trump was seeking revenge and retribution. The only way Trump could seek retribution with a mortgage fraud charge is for you to have committed mortgage fraud. He's not creating the documents like you guys did. He's not faking anything like you guys did. He's not using the media to try and get public attention on something that doesn't exist like you guys did. He's pulling a piece of paper that's easily accessible online and go, Oh, Big Letty signed this and she said this. And then there's another piece of paper from another public record that says this. These two things, something's wrong here. And so he knows that. He's trying to play it out in the court of public opinion because there is no defense to mortgage fraud. That literally, I'm telling you right now, there is no defense unless you said somebody grabbed a hold of your arm and made you sign that application and made you wire that money. Wire fraud, mortgage fraud, pretty much all is the same thing. There is no defense. They tried to make things defensible by coming up with a term called predatory loans. You remember those? And I'm like, predatory loans? Did somebody have a shotgun in somebody's head, said take out the loan or else? Then there's no such thing as a predatory loan. That is another idea from the lib nuts. There's no such thing as a predatory loan. Nobody made you sign that piece of paper. And then when you did sign the piece of paper, you were telling the people, I understand what I'm signing. You know, the time to find out what you were signing was back before you signed it. And so the first question somebody would ask, and I've seen it in depositions, did you have counsel? No, I didn't have. Nobody told me. Did you have a real estate agent working with you? Yes. Then you had counsel. Did you have a mortgage broker? Yes. Did he explain to you what the papers were? Now, these people, it's going to be a much higher bar. Here's why. She's the Attorney General of New York. He's a senator in California. This woman is a governor in the Federal Reserve. These people have implied knowledge. If you're sitting in the Federal Reserve, you're helping make the loans with the interest rates. You have an influence in it. You're a senator, you write laws. You're Attorney General, you adjudicate. There's no defense. So let's listen in.
On Valentine's Day a year ago, roses are red, violets are blue. No one's above the law, even when you think the rules don't apply to you. Happy Valentine's Day. She, of course, referring to Donald Trump. Our next guest using that tweet against her. No one is above the law, even when you think the rules don't apply to you. Letitia James. Florida Congressman and Florida gubernatorial candidate Byron Donalds is with us. Congressman, it's great to see you. Pretty ironic. Karma, payback, revenge, all of them apply here. Do you think the DOJ actually charges her?
Well, look, if it's clear that she violated the law and she was committing mortgage fraud, not to mention, as I understand it, if you're going to be the New York Attorney General, how are you claiming that you live in another state? That just doesn't work. And so if all these things pan out to be true, she should be charged. She was quick to charge Donald Trump, saying that he put fraudulent information on a loan application. Well, that's what she's accused of doing right now. And
the irony is amazing. She went after Donald Trump. She did everything she possibly could to tell him he committed fraud, including the banks coming in and saying he didn't commit fraud. We gave him the money. He paid it off. Nobody was damaged. There's no fraud. Then she tried to objectively say what the property was worth. She was the one committing fraud, saying that Mar-a-Lago was only worth $18 million when she doesn't realize the dirt that you can't buy Mar-a-Lago's dirt for $18 million. So now we've got two documents that show she fraudulently entered information. Oh, that's some serious irony.
Also accused Donald Trump of saying that Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million. I mean, we all know that was just stupid and a lie. So if they go through their investigation and they find evidence, probable cause, that she was committing mortgage fraud for her own benefit, of course she should be charged. That's the way our system of justice works.
It all happened in 2023. So that's when she falsified these records, allegedly. And that was the same year she put Donald Trump on trial. Do you have any concerns about her being married to her father? Is that something we need to look into?
I can't believe he said that with a straight face. He just completely blew. Oh, God. Big Letty put on the same one of those documents that she was married to some guy who was her father. Let that sink in. The Attorney General of New York Not only did she lie on her mortgage application and what she did fraudulently, the other part is, yeah, she put down that she was married to some guy who happens to be daddy.
Listen, I think everybody's got concerns about that one. That's just not something that everybody thinks is cool. I don't. It's just weird, to quote a former person running for the vice presidency that we won't talk about. But look, at the end of the day, this is what happens. You have these officials who want to go on these witch hunts while at the same time they're doing dirt behind the shadows, in the shadows. It's simply wrong. She should be held accountable like anybody else.
All right. So what you just heard there was an interview, believe it or not, in like March of last year. That's how long this has been going on. Like 2024, this has been going on. And so now they realize, actually, 2024. And so now they're realizing, let's step it up. Now, Bill Pulte, if you're not following Bill Pulte on X, you should. Bill Pulte was a big real estate guy, and President Trump brought him in to be specifically to run the housing. Not what Scott Walker's doing, but something else in terms of checking in on the finance. And so listen to this.
Welcome back. President Trump taking aim at FUD Governor Lisa Cook this morning, calling on her to resign following accusations of mortgage fraud by our next guest, who is seeking an investigation by the Department of Justice. Cook was appointed by former President Biden. She's been serving a term that ends in 2038. And joining us now in a First on CNBC interview is Bill Pulte, Director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. Director Pulte, it's good to have you. So what have you found? What have you dug up on Governor Cook?
Well, I don't know if it's as much digging up as much as it is doing our job. We refer people every day criminally for mortgage fraud, and no one is above the law. And in this case, it happens to be a Fed governor, and I have an obligation to do something about it. So when we received a tip, this is what we discovered, and it's very unfortunate.
All right, so I want to bring attention to that. So that means there are people like Sam Antar and other people out there who are doing the work. Because it's all public record, you right now could pull up the mortgage application for Elizabeth Warren. You can just log on into the county in Massachusetts where Elizabeth Warren lives, find out any corporations, any other way she has purchased property, and you can simply look it up. And then you can, if you know what you're doing, you can see pretty quickly, which property she bought, what she did with them, where'd she get the mortgages. And so now what he just gave you a tip is that there are people out there, there's an army of people digging through all this stuff.
Because, a Fed governor is supposed to understand economic harm of mortgage fraud. The Fed has written all about the economic harm of mortgage fraud, in particular occupancy fraud. And here she is allegedly committing mortgage fraud. So I think it's a big issue. I don't think it's going away. I think she will have to resign, or I think she will be fired.
Now understand, this is in addition to Big Letty. They may look somewhat similar, but this is another one. This is Miss Cook from the Federal Reserve. Now, remember back a few weeks or maybe a month when President Trump told Jerome Powell, need you out, bro. Need to get out. Don't test me here. And then he went to the Federal Reserve and embarrassed him in front of everybody because he didn't know how much he was spending, and they're doing an audit on that. And then one of the people on the Federal Reserve, the different people who run it are called governors. And one of the governors, she quit. I'm done. as soon as she saw that public execution, she's like, I'm done. And she's like, I told him to lower the rates, but he didn't lower the rates. And now this person who sits on the Federal Reserve, now she finds herself in the lobster pot.
What are the allegations? Like, what do you claim that she has done that constitutes mortgage fraud?
We allege that she bought a condo in July of 2021, and 14 days before that, we allege that she took out a loan using a Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac form, stating that she had her primary residence in Michigan. 14 days later, as I said, she went and purchased an Atlanta condo.
All right, so again, like I've been trying to tell you, this is very, very easy to prove. There's not much they can defend themselves. It says here, according to mortgage documents obtained by U.S. Federal Housing, it appears Miss Lisa Donnell Cook falsified bank documents and property records to acquire more favorable loan terms, potentially committing mortgage fraud under the criminal statute. That's a no-no. If you or I did that, we would get fitted with bracelets. Pretty simple. Hey, you falsified your mortgage. And you made it worse. Okay, here's where it gets really bad. Let's say you have a mortgage with 123 Bank. And in 123 Bank, you falsify the information. Well, 123 Bank's never really going to look into mortgage fraud as long as you're making the payments. And the government pretty much can't look into your arrangement with 123 Bank because it's a private transaction. I don't have the ability, I don't have what we call the reference to go in and look at your stuff. Although the Biden administration looked at everything. However, in order to get favorable loan terms, you went and did a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan or some other HUD-based loan so that you could get a cheaper loan, and you now applied to the government. Now you committed a federal crime that is easy to prove. If it was just a bank, that'd be one thing. But you somehow decided it was okay to go ahead and lie to the government as well. Gotcha. And you can't say, I didn't know, I wasn't sure. You weren't sure where you lived? You live in Michigan, or did you live in what? How are you not sure? Because that's the only thing they can say. I made a mistake. You made a mistake. You got a couple $100,000 here and a couple $100,000 here or more, but you made a mistake. No, that's intentional. The goose is cooked. No pun intended for Mrs. Cook.
Make it worse, she then went on to eventually list the apartment and probably is renting it out. This is a very serious issue. It has.
All right, so I got to explain that one to you. Barry, why can't she just do it? And because the terms of her loan, sometimes, and I've done it many times, when you buy a certain piece of property, there is a restriction. And that restriction says, we're giving you this loan, but we're giving it to you on the premise that this is going to be your principal residence. You're not going to rent it out. You're going to live here, right? It's your primary residence. Yeah, I live here. Wink, wink, wink. And then they rent it out because nobody's going to check. So the problem that the Democrats have, and they understand how to try and defend this, is because why did you check? That's what they're going to start saying. Why did you even look? That's not a really good defense. Honey, why is this girl's naked picture on your phone? Why'd you even look at my phone? Try that. See how that works out. Because that's essentially the only thing they can do is why were you even checking this out? Seriously? It's a government loan. It's my job. I'm going through old loans and I'm trying to make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be. And it popped up. And guess what? With AI, I can do this really quick now. See, this isn't something that these people saw coming whatsoever. They thought they could bury it. I bet you one of Big Ball's boys went in and sat down with Bill, and Bill's like, I'd like to pull up the loans of everybody in government who got a government guaranteed loan who said that this particular property is their primary residence. And the guys from Big Balls got together. Hey guys, can we do this? Yeah. Here's your algorithm. And you just feed it into the machine. It's like, oh, all these people have primary residence loans with HUD. Oh, that one's in Michigan. But I know they have a house here in D.C. They got a nice big townhouse in Georgetown. Now you can go, can you pull those two loans for me? Can you bring that up? They probably can do that with AI. Hey, go ahead, do that. Find them and bring up the loans and see if there's a discrepancy. And then I get a report. Oh, mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fraudster I'm going to get today? So it's very easy. Remember, he said, I'm getting tips. We don't know how those tips are coming. We don't know if somebody wrote a script, if somebody wrote a prompt, an algorithm to go search. Because all this stuff is digitized these days. Wherever you live right now, I bet 99% of the country, every single deed is digitized. So it's pretty easy to find it. And then a lot of times they put the promissory notes online. So pretty easy.
Necessarily nothing to do with the Fed governor. It has everything to do with mortgage fraud in the United States. And if we see it, we're going to do something about it. Just on that point, too, I'll say we're also probing, and I would imagine that the Department of Justice will open an inquiry into this. I'm hopeful about that. But we're also probing some property that she has in Massachusetts to see if there's something there, but I don't have anything yet on that. Okay. And I only want to stick with what's in the criminal referral.
You hear what he just said? We're probing that, too. So the spider, which is another term for what the algorithm does, he's now said, here's my target, and go start looking. Whether it's people or algos. If the algo's doing it, it's much quicker and cheaper, but it may be actually individual people. Go ahead and check this out. And that one line right there should cause so many sphincters in Washington, D.C. to close up. Because now this guy's job, he's going around and he's looking to see if anybody got a government guaranteed loan over the last however years, if you still have the loan. Whew, man, that would be crazy. Crazy. I'd love to be involved in that search.
So far.
And in that referral, so basically it sounds like the claim or the allegation is that she claimed primary residence on 2 different places at the same time?
That's correct. You cannot do that in America.
And what does that get? Does that get you preferential mortgage rates?
Yes, when you have a primary residence or a principal residence, it is essentially lower risk. And so what we do at both Fannie and Freddie and our member institutions who we buy loans from and we mandate from is we want to understand the risk. If you are living in your home, it is less likely that you will be foreclosed upon or not pay your payments in the event of a recession. We saw this in 08. In my view, many of this is what caused 08. You know, my family founded Pulte Homes. I grew up in that business. I saw the housing market crash. We cannot go back there. So it doesn't matter.
All right, so a lot of people, especially on the left, didn't know about Pulte Homes. Some homework for you. You guys always talk about BlackRock and everything else, and I want you to go up and look at Pulte Homes and see how many houses his family has built over, say, the last 5 or 10 years. You're going to be shocked. You're like, oh my God. So this guy knows every inch of the real estate business. He knows where the bodies are buried. He knows how people get around things. He knows the things they do to try and get a mortgage. He knows it all. And so it was probably pretty easy when he walked in his first day and they're like, okay, what are we going to do? Pull this, 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 and this. And then pull this, this, and this, and compile this information, and then let me know what you got. And so now here's a guy, unlike what they've had before, because they always put DEI, because these people don't know what the hell they're doing, they just sit there and take a check. They count on that. And so now, let's wait and find out how many government mortgages you are backing. Yeah, now that slaps you in the face. You're like, what? Yeah. In addition to everything they did in 2020 and 2016 and 2024 and everything else they've been doing, you've been basically guaranteeing their mortgages. Yep. And that's what he's pulling up.
Whether you're Fed Governor Cook or Joe Blow on the street, if you commit mortgage fraud, we are going to report it. And this is no different, and we do it every day.
Bill, what do you make of this notion that the allegations of mortgage fraud have become sort of political fodder? The allegations against Adam Schiff, Letitia James. AP had a report in July that Texas AG Paxton cited 3 homes as primary. I mean, how broad are you willing to use this tool?
How broad are you willing to use the law? A sitting member of the media on a financial network who has probably watched Bernie Madoff, who's probably watched Sam Bankman-Fried, have watched, what's her name? Martha, and what she did, is asking now on behalf of these Democrats, how far are you willing to go? I didn't know we had an option. I didn't know that you and I could commit a crime and go, dude, you really want to do this? You know who I am? I got a YouTube channel. Okay, why are you bothering me? No. No. I cannot believe these questions. How far are you willing to go to enforce the law? Is that what you're asking me? You saying let it go because it might look bad? The optics are you're going after Letitia or Miss Cook or whoever. You might want to let it go. Are we at this state right now in this country where people are really asking a question about how many of these laws you really going to enforce? Yeah, I mean, they're just laws. Who cares?
We will look at any allegation of mortgage fraud, and we do not care whether you're a Republican, a Democrat. We do not care whether you're wealthy. We don't care whether you're a prosecutor. We don't care whether you're a Fed governor. If you commit mortgage fraud and you present an existential threat to the federal home loan banks, Fannie or Freddie, we are going to prosecute it, period.
Is it common for these things not to get referred back to the OIG? I mean, how does it wind up on your desk, much less the social media account of the president?
If you're listening closely, you can hear they're not asking the questions, did she do it? They're not asking the questions whatsoever, can you prove it? It looks bad. And why is the president involved? And this is what Pulte posted earlier. Lisa Cook should immediately resign from the Federal Reserve. I believe the DOJ will open a criminal investigation into her alleged mortgage fraud. But why are you bringing Daddy into it? Why are you telling the principal? This is our media.
Well, what do you mean, how does it end up on my desk? I'm the regulator of Fannie and Freddie, and I'm the conservator of Fannie and Freddie. If it didn't end up on my desk, I wouldn't be doing my job, Carl. I mean, that's like asking how do news stories appear on your desk? That's your job. My job is to regulate these entities, Carl, and we have to make sure that we have a safe and sound market. And I'm not going to be intimidated by the media or politicians who don't want visibility into what's been going on behind closed doors. If somebody is claiming 2 primary residences, that is not appropriate, and we will refer it for criminal investigation.
Are there other cases like this that are pending that you're aware of that you'll be making public soon?
Of course.
Because my Democrat friends want to know so they can unclench their sphincters because they can't even poop right now. Are there more coming? And let's hear the answer.
So, I mean, we have ongoing cases all the time. I just got 2 yesterday afternoon that were.
That's not the answer he wanted, Bill. The answer was no. You're not looking at anybody else, are you? Oh yeah, of course we are. They just keep coming in. Oh man, what time's that Learjet going to be gassed up? Because I got to get the hell out of Dodge. You have a no defense crime coming your way. Pretty simple. You sign it? Yeah. Get your ass in an orange jumpsuit real quick. And your only defense you have right now is you really need to do this. I mean, seriously, Bill. Do we need as a country for people to be going to jail for something as insignificant as stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars? Is that really where we are as a country?
Be referring to the DOJ. We refer people almost every day to the Department of Justice. This is not new. And I'll tell you one thing, Carl. You ask how it covers my desk, cross my desk. I think a lot of people look the other way when stuff would cross their desk. It doesn't matter who you are. If it comes across our desk and we see it, we're going to look at it. And when we opened up a tip line, Carl, the floodgates opened. And I'm sorry to say for politicians, but politicians, unfortunately, sometimes think that they're above the law. And no one is above the law. And if we see...
Boy, is that phrase coming back to bite them in the ass. Yeah, we got a tip line, and we got all kinds of people looking. In fact, you could look at this point. Find out in your local area. Did they take out a government loan? Hey, let me put in, I don't know, Hakeem Jeffries. How about Schumer? You know that's what's happening, right? You know, all over the country, there are people, I don't know if they're all algorithms or he's got people working, but they're just looking in this thing and go, Eric Swalwell. Yeah, he did it too. I bet you there's tons of them. You know why I bet you that? Know why I feel so confident? Because these are cheap-ass bastards. If they could get a loan, easy peasy from the government for 2 or 3% versus you working your ass off and they're telling you 5 or 6%, they're not going to tell you that we bought like 8 houses at 2% and said they all were our primary residence. How many houses would you have bought if you could have got a 2 or 3% loan and declared it was your primary residence on all the homes, and nobody was ever going to look. And you rent out that one, and that one, and that one, and you rent out that one. And so now you're bringing in all that money, and you're got the little bitty mortgage at 2%. You're rolling large, and nobody's going to look because they're all doing the same damn thing. Trump was never supposed to win. He was never supposed to see this stuff.
Politicians doing it, they're going to get treated just like everybody else. I mean, Carl, the DOJ often prosecutes people for this very crime.
Yeah. We should note that we've reached out to the Fed numerous times. They haven't gotten a response yet. I imagine that they're in fact-finding mission here when it comes to what's going on. But Director Pulte, you can't ignore the fact that you have been a very aggressive critic of the Federal Reserve, and clearly so has the president, and he does have a policy agenda here.
Well, we can talk about policy and politics on a separate matter, but as it pertains to the regulation side of things, that's where my focus is as it pertains to that. If you want to talk about politics and interest rates, we can do that. But this, to me, is a very clear case, in my view, of mortgage fraud. It's just black and white. It's their signatures. I sent it to you guys and your producers. I understand you didn't want to put it up, but, you know, anybody can go look at these public documents.
Okay. This is why I have to do it this way. Because he just yada, yada, yada. And he threw something at CNBC. He goes, hey, listen, I gave it to you. He didn't want to put it up. Why did you not want to put it up? He gave you a chart. Look at this. And you guys didn't want to put it up. Meaning you're trying to craft a narrative and you can't craft your way out of this.
Documents, Washtenaw County, Michigan, or Fulton County, Georgia. You know, they're there. People can see it. And in fact, our referral letter is based on publicly available information. So, you know, there's no funny business here. This is straightforward stuff. And if you commit mortgage fraud, especially in black and white, you will be prosecuted.
No, and just to be clear, we just wanted to verify all the documents before putting them on the screen. But we definitely wanted to talk to you about it. So
yeah, lying little hussy you. Oh, we needed to verify him before we put him on the screen. Said no media ever against the Democrat. And the verification would literally take about 30 seconds. So she's lying. Hey, tell him right now that we needed extra time to verify those documents. Yeah, you're telling the guy who runs the housing finance. You want me to tell him that it's taking us too long to verify the documents? I bet you if you had asked him before the show, he'd just send you a link. Every single mortgage, deed, everything has its own book and page number in your county records. Some of you guys don't know that. So it literally takes John Smith, click. It's that fast. But then again, they may have used LLCs and other things like that. So I'll give her a break. It may have been cloaked. If it was cloaked, that's one thing. But let's say it wasn't.
Is there any precedent for this, and what it would, if found to be true? And again, it's just allegations at this point.
Yes, this stuff is prosecuted every day. It's just the elite and wealthy class and the politician class who's
shocked when this happens. But is it grounds for firing at the Fed?
Of course. If you commit a crime.
Okay, did y'all hear that? Yeah, it's prosecuted all the time. But is it grounds for being fired? She said that on television. She actually said that. So somebody who works and has a fiduciary responsibility to the country, you had to ask if that was cause for being fired. Somebody who has a fiduciary responsibility and helps control the interest rates for you and me, and you're wondering if they committed mortgage fraud, is it grounds for firing? Somebody asked me the other day, hey Barry, do you want to go on any of these shows like, CNN or Fox or anything else? I'm like, nope. Nope. And trust me, they don't want me there either. Because if I was sitting on a panel and she said that, hold on a second. So, hey, sweetie, I'm sorry to call you sweetie, but you're making me call you sweetie. Did you just ask what I think you just asked? See, they don't want you saying that. You're supposed to just sit there and nod, because I couldn't do it. And they know I couldn't do it because they've probably seen my shows. He ain't going to sit there. Nope, not going to sit there. You say something that stupid, the camera would catch me going, what in the hell? And it's like, hey, Susie Q, I may have been looking away. The lights might be bright. It might be hot in here. Did you just say, should you be fired from the Federal Reserve if you commit mortgage fraud? Can you just clarify that, please? Oh, that's what I thought you said. You don't want me talking right now.
And you have a reasonable suspicion that somebody is committing a crime, that is cause. I mean, I don't know what cause is if that's not cause. I mean, this lady, I don't understand how she can be in charge of setting interest rates for our country, and here she is potentially lying on her applications to get better interest rates. Like, you know, we have a huge economy. Why are we letting somebody like this do this? She needs to explain herself, but unfortunately, it's in black and white, and I don't think it's going away. And to be honest, I think she needs to resign quickly. You know, I say these things about Powell needing to resign and everything on the political side. This is very different, okay? This is black and white.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that. No, because you have called for Powell to resign because you don't like interest rates as high as they are, and that's a very different thing.
That's correct, and I also...
Is she 12? See, as you're watching the media, if you're watching even CNBC, you have to realize the people who are talking after reading a teleprompter, they don't know shit. I mean, everybody laughs about Jim Cramer and how just you want to make money, just do the opposite of what Jim Cramer says. They put people on there and wow. I'm just looking at her. I'm just looking, just can't imagine what's going through that mind, and wondering right now that her parents put her through a great collegiate education, and she got a job with a financial network, and she doesn't seem to know shit about finance.
Some issues with the building, but those are policy issues, okay? I'm putting my regulator hat on today. I've never accused Jay Powell of something like this. I'm sitting here and I'm saying to you that if you look at the mortgage documents, you see what I see. And you know what? I'll tell you this. Jay Powell, he has a chance to do the right thing by the law. I mean, this is just... You know, this is common sense what he needs to do here. But, you know, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I don't know. Did he know about this? I have a hard time believing he did, but we'll see what happens.
It would be hard to believe that he would know about, you know, the mortgages and what Lisa Cook claimed on mortgages.
What you're saying...
You say
that.
It would be hard to believe that the guy in charge of the interest rates of the entire country would have any knowledge of what any of the people who sit on the board with him are doing in real estate. Really? We're not talking whether or not you know what the lighting guy has done, whether he's bought a house or something. You're talking about people whose only business, they got one job, man. One job. And their one job is to set the interest rates that dictate what mortgages are supposed to go for. And so, just in a cocktail, hey, what are you doing? Well, I just bought this condo down the street. Oh, great. How'd you do it? Well, I financed it with HUD. Right. Did you say it was your personal your residence, or is it an investment? Oh, I just took out the primary residence loan. No big deal. Oh, great for you. You're going to save some money on your interest rate. Yeah, we're going to do it. By the way, you committed mortgage fraud. Oh.
Is that what you're saying is that if she were a dovish dissenter, if she were pushing the committee to cut rates, you would still be coming on our program to demand her resignation?
Let me know. I should just let the rest of this play. It's only got 3 minutes left. Are you guys going to ask whether or not she did it? See, that's the news. The news is, did you do it? The news isn't, why are you looking on my phone and you weren't supposed to see the picture of the naked chick? Well, you wouldn't be showing, Robin, the picture of the naked chick if it weren't for the... No, the question Robin would want to know is, why in the hell is there a naked chick on your phone? Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I had a momentary lapse of reason. I'm not really sure. No. Nobody in the media should be talking about the stuff surrounding the crime. How about talking about the crime? The alleged crime, as they like to say, so they don't get sued. Not one question. Not one question. Hey, I understand that Adam Schiff and Big Letty and now Miss Cook here, they're all cooked. They committed mortgage fraud. And the one piece of evidence that, he gave them, they're like, we're not going to show that. What do you mean? He gave it to you. But they don't want to talk about the alleged crime. Let's talk about all this peripheral. All this stuff out here. You're doing it because of Trump. You're doing it because you're mad. You're doing it. Why'd they do it? See, it's very simple. Again, I wouldn't be able to sit. I'd ask them, Carl, what are you worried about that for? Why aren't we talking about why she did it? Why don't we talk about that? Why did she take out 2 loans or 3 loans and say they were all her primary residence so she could get a cheaper rate? What, shouldn't she know better? Why aren't we talking about that, Carl? But Carl wants to talk about Trump.
I didn't say any of that. You're saying that and trying to twist it into some political thing. I'm telling you, as far as I know, she is dovish. So I don't really understand what your argument is. My argument is very simple. There can be no mortgage fraud. This came across our desk. I have a duty to report it. I mean, don't you want your mortgage regulator to report it no matter who it is?
Do you have any indication from the Department of Justice? I know you sent...
Did you hear they call that a caesura. Did you hear that pregnant pause? The pregnant pause was, he asked the question, wouldn't you want anything done and anybody prosecuted for mortgage fraud? The question is, no, lady, you didn't answer what I just said. I want you all to picture yourselves on the platform with these panels of some of these shows you see on TV, and imagine if you're sitting there, if you're listening to these people talk, what your eyes would look like. There's a guy who makes videos he used to do it of The View, where he would cut himself in as though he was a part of the panel. Love his videos. Because the normal person who's thinking would have just turned around and go, what the hell are you talking about, honey? And I don't mean to disrespect you, but you're disrespecting me. You're playing stupid here. What's the motivation? Maybe I would twist the interview. What's the motivation for you being such an idiot? We're supposed to be news. You brought me on this show to talk about news, but you don't want to talk about news.
A letter to Pam Bondi that there is going to be an investigation here?
Well, I don't want to comment on any specific conversations I've had with the DOJ, but I do know that Pam Bondi has done a great job at taking mortgage fraud seriously across a host of issues. One of the things that I did, one of the reasons that we fired many of the board members when we came into Fannie and Freddie was we found a lot of multifamily fraud on the books. And, we've had to clean that up, and we're still in the process of cleaning that up. And so I have, been a very big fan of whether it's residential mortgage fraud like we're talking about today or multifamily fraud. This stuff has got to get the heck out of the system. And frankly, we talk about this potential IPO or potentially selling shares one day. We need to make sure that we have strong and sound businesses if and when we go to do that. And so, these are part and parcel together. It's a safety and soundness thing, but it's also in the business interest of the companies to make sure that fraud is not there.
What is the penalty for if there was any evidence of fraud here? What would be the penalty for something like this, the claiming primary?
All right, so this is really important because a lot of people and even the news media are trying to make this seem like it's not a big deal. She just lied on her mortgage application. No big deal. It's a little crime. Listen to what he says.
Residence on 2 places.
Well, I would refer you to the DOJ's website because they have many precedents for this. I would say that Marilyn Mosby, you may have seen that. People may recall she was the prosecutor in Maryland. She was prosecuted and convicted of mortgage fraud, lying on her mortgage applications, I believe. And so, you have high-profile cases like this all the time. When this came across my desk, I said, people are going to think this, that, or the other thing. Well, it doesn't really matter. If she did this, she did this. We have an obligation to report it. And it wouldn't matter whether, she was a Republican or Democrat. It is what it is.
Still, you have to admit that you'd be probably happy to see the president get yet another pick for a new governor, if this is where all this goes on the Federal Reserve in the quest to lower interest rates.
I mean, if you want to put
When she says governor, that's what the term is for people who sit on the Federal Reserve Board. They're called governors. And so he's like, you'd be actually pretty happy if, you got another one. He gave him the opportunity. None of this was by surprise. I think that's one of the things let me get into that. It's got 55 seconds. None of this should be a surprise. You should have known and seen this coming.
My policy head on, I'd be happy if we had a different chair. I don't know how or what or if this moves the needle. Again, this matter as it pertains to this is how can we have somebody in this type of position committing mortgage fraud, allegedly. And I would say one thing, too. You said about how did Jay Powell not know. This is not really that hard. If you look at her personal financial disclosures, which are disclosed, all of us have to do through the executive branch, she lists on there that it appears anyway, and we'll figure this out, and the DOJ will have to look into this, that she's listing this property as her personal residence even today, like meaning in 2025 or whenever she last did it, 2023, whenever her last disclosure was.
The one in Ann Arbor?
The one in Atlanta, and then she went on to list it for rent. So, there's a lot of questions here, and that's why I'm saying for the sake of the country, she should just resign. And I do think this is a very different situation than, the chair. I really do believe that.
You see, one of the things that many people thought, including me, until I started seeing this stuff play out, what is the nickname that President Trump has for Jerome Powell? The nickname that he's been telling everybody for Jerome Powell is, it's too late, Powell. And I thought, up until like a couple days ago, that the too late Powell thing was about it's too late to lower the interest rates. And it never really sunk into me, well, it's never too late to lower the interest rates. We could lower the interest rates. What exactly are you talking about when you say too late, Powell? Perhaps this is what he was talking about. I'm going to come in, I'm going to audit the construction, and then we're going to look at every one of your people, and we're going to stick a microscope up their butt, and we're going to see something, and you're not calling off the dogs now. It's too late. We're coming for you. It wasn't by accident what he just said there, that you realize now after you heard it, you understand where they're going. He just said, I pulled her financial disclosures. And then he said, it's still going on, which is, it tells me it's a sign, a calm, like we're just taking the documents that you guys put out. And by just taking what you put out, we're able to see everything on it. You were so brazen. You were so carefree. You were so elite. You didn't even effing care. Understand what he just said. They all have to file a disclosure, a financial disclosure. And you were so confident in this. Yeah, I got this house, and that was my primary resident, and that was my primary resident. Yeah, I own all this stuff here. Yeah, whatever. Here, yeah, go file this somewhere. That you never thought somebody would look at this and go, something's wrong here. You never thought. Why? Because you've been doing it all along. It's just become commonplace. Yeah, I got to fill out that form 1067 something. Can you send it over? Yeah, here. Not realizing you were signing your doom, and that somebody in the Trump administration was going to be looking at this and going, oh, hey. And now you're too late to fix it. You can't fix it. You're too late. We got you. And when he went to the Federal Reserve, and he did it there, it's like, by the way, you're billions over budget. No, we're not. Here. And he just handed it to him. Look again. Too late. It's too late. We got you. And I thought after all of this happened is when I started digging and going, is this what he meant by it's too late? Because one by one, Adam Schiff, Letitia James, this lady who none of us even knew, and he just said, we got a whole bunch more coming. what a time to be alive. And I think there's got to be some people realizing right now in Washington, oh, what did I do? Because if I did something, anything, this man's probably likely going to find it. Anything. Did I do this? Did I do that? And it's too late. You can't unwind it. Whatever documents you signed here, whatever documents you signed there, if they don't match up or something's wrong, it's too late. And I would almost venture to say this is how he's going to take them down. They've been doing so much and been loosey-goosey with the finances for so long, never expecting ever to get caught. Wait till they start looking at AOC and like, well, okay, all right, so last week you were making rum and cokes, and this, now you're worth like $10 million. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Oh, Jasmine Crockett. Yeah, says here you were a DEI hire with no experience, and now you're worth like $8 million. Doesn't happen. You see, when you deal with people who are used to finance, who've been in the business, who understand how the business world works, it's easy to look at, that didn't happen. There's no way. You're not going to tell me, unless you tell me you won Powerball twice, that you had any ability to generate that kind of money without stealing it from the American people. Or having some donor, and you didn't disclose it. They're not smart enough to know that they should have done things a certain way because it was how it's always been done. So by using these rules, by coming in and looking at the laws that are going to be easy to prosecute and easy for people at home to understand. Every single one of you who's ever bought a house is sitting here right now going, yeah, I remember I had to sign all this, I had to fill out that, and then you had to sign it, and you had to go to a notary I swear to God, what I'm putting down here is true. Because you were an upstanding person, you planned on paying your bills, and even if you got in trouble and got a foreclosure, the bank didn't really come after many people. They just take your house, but if they said, hey, wait, how did you all of a sudden you can't pay this? You better tell them you lost your job or something. But it's very seldom that a bank goes after somebody. They just take the collateral. And so all these people in Washington, and I shouldn't say all, I bet you there's a ton of them who played completely loosey-goosey with the law and had you and me funding their lifestyle. That's absolutely nuts. They should have played low and followed directions of, they should have watched what was it? Goodfellas, where what's the guy's name? The idiot there. And he told everybody, lay low. Don't go out there buying Cadillacs and everything else. Lay low. These people didn't lay low because it just became part of the business. Then he exposed that Crockett went to a prep school that cost $35,000 a year. We did see a lot of resignations lately. Yeah, I bet you there's going to be more. Let's see here. What if Fannie Mae and HUD are just as guilty? Well, who is signing the checks off on them? I mean, back when they had the 2008 crisis, if you could fog a mirror, you got a loan. So you got to believe it happened at a higher level as well. When I went to sign the papers, the lady tried to suggest I was someone else. She backed off quick when I offered to show her my birth certificate. Yeah, let's see here. Goodfellas, yes. De Niro, that's what I was talking about. They are so brazen with their crimes because they never expected Trump to win. I love this one. Emma says, I signed so many papers that I was wondering if they wanted me to sign away my firstborn. Yeah, you buy a mortgage, it's like that much paper. So now it's all electronic. And they're like going like this and make you hit a button and just fill it in. And most people don't even look at all this stuff. He's probably finding their secret offshore accounts as well. HUD Properties selling to Illuminati Satanists run hedge funds at 38 cents on a dollar, selling them massive portfolios to hide all the illegal mortgage properties they administer. All right, so let me tell you about the knife for a second here. And then I'm going to dig into some of the misconceptions about real estate. Some of you guys probably won't like it, but nonetheless, if you don't want to watch anymore after what I'm about to tell you, that's okay. That's okay too. All right, so let me tell you about the Trump knife real quick here. As you guys know, a lot of people have purchased the Trump red knife. Here it is right here, and the Trump red knife. You're familiar with it. I did all kinds of demos on it, but now we have the Trump. I like to call it Trump the Black because it comes in this really neat package. It's called the Signature Blade, and it's basically the same functionality, same type of knife, but it's got a different color to it, and there's some other specials to it. And this is the Trump 4547 knife, and it still has the seatbelt cutter and has the window breaker in case you need that. Still has the quick open action on the knife. Same heaviness, good balance, big knife, pretty strong, extremely, and I say this because almost as a warning, extremely sharp, so be careful. And it has the Trump Trump signature on the blade right there. You can see it. There you can see it. And the best part about it is because you guys here are in the Fanfare family, it's free. If you go to the QR code right there, or you go to berryknife.com, you can get this knife for free just for the cost of shipping. Just for the cost of shipping, you can have this knife. It retails normally at about 69 or 70 bucks, but for just the cost of shipping, which is about 12, 13, or 14 bucks depending on where you live, you can get the knife for free. So go to the QR code right there, or you can go, as it says on the screen, to berryknife.com, enter your 100% off coupon, and it's completely free just for the Fanfare family. And, excuse me, enjoy. It's very sharp. All right. Let's see here. What do we got? How do I say this? Let me start with this. I did a poll, and you guys can see it. Let me see if I can put it on the screen. Not sure how it shows up. This is dovetailing off of what you just heard. All right? And let me look at it this way. All right, so I did this poll. I put it up. I won't say I sandbagged anybody, but I put it up here, and it says, excuse me, open back up. All right. It says, what causes high housing prices? Pretty simple question. Is it high interest rates? Is it corporate manipulation and fraud? Is it supply and demand? Is it bad government? 70% of you picked the wrong choice. If you picked high interest rates, no. High interest rates do not cause housing prices to raise. You can have an 18% interest offered to you by a mortgage broker, but it doesn't have anything to do with the price of the house. That's your qualifications. That's based upon your credit, your amount that you're going to put down. That's you. I don't care with somebody who's going to buy a house what their interest rate is. It doesn't concern me. What concerns me is how am I going to sell this house and the speed of which I'm going to sell this house. And there's a bunch of factors in it. Corporate manipulation and fraud, not so much either, because they don't control or manipulate the price of what someone is selling for. Bad government, nope, not them either. There is one sole thing that determines the price of a house. One, supply and demand. Some people obviously don't like to understand that because a house price is 100% contingent, dependent upon what somebody is willing to pay at a certain time. I don't care if they're paying with a mortgage. That's on them. I don't care if they're paying with cash. Congrats, you got it. The bottom line is you are going to buy at the price I am setting, or I'm not selling it to you. And what happens when you see price and people look at housing prices, oh, housing prices are too expensive. No, they're not. Because if a house was too expensive, people would drop the price. They would chase the falling knife. They would try to catch that falling knife. You see it all the time. You can go on Realtor.com. You can go on Zillow, and they say price reduction down to 50 grand because your house isn't worth 500 grand. You had to lower it. And eventually you'll lower it where somebody will say, I'll buy it. So it has nothing to do with all of the other factors. I'm sorry, let me be the one to tell you, you can't get me off this rock. Let me show you something to go hand in hand with that. And it kind of, I posted something on X earlier today. And I showed people a house that, as an investor, people send me emails all the time. And they'll say, hey, Barry, I've got this house for sale. You interested? And some of these lists I've been on for quite some time. And so I don't look in the hood anymore. And I don't look at properties that need a whole lot of fix up. I'm not into that. I'm into turnkey properties that I can buy at a substantial discount. Substantial discount. Like, I'm looking at properties that I can buy for about 50 to 60% of value. Not a whole lot of them out there at 50, 60, 65% of value, but when they come, you know what? It's a big, great effing deal. And so you can sift through a lot and say, oh, this one looks good. Do I have to do any work? Nope, I can just buy it and put it back on the market and wait for somebody to come and accept my price. I am not setting a price, and no seller is setting their price based upon interest rates. They're setting their price based upon how many people want to buy in this neighborhood. And there's another stat a lot of people don't pay attention to on Zillow or on Realtor.com, which is called days on market. If I see that the houses in a certain zip code or area are selling in 10, 12 days, I'm like, that's flying. The properties are flying off the shelf there. I want some of that. If I see things that say 90, 120 days, 200 days, see, right there, people, the demand isn't there. And so people are having to lower their price because, nobody's knocking on the door. But if you buy and look at a neighborhood where the things are moving, you know you're pretty much going to get your price or more. See, that's the other thing. People think supply and demand causes the prices to go down. Just the opposite. You put a house on the market for $600 and you start getting offers at $615, $620, $650, you're kicking yourself because I underpriced. Oh my God. Because the demand is telling you it is now worth more. So I put this post up. Again, I haven't looked at comments. People are probably freaking out right now. And it says, most people complaining about housing prices being too high simply don't understand the concept of supply and demand. This house is located down here in Hollywood, Florida, and guess how much it sold for? Make sure your guess is over $300,000. And that's the house. And if I tell you, make sure you're guessing over 300, I mean way over 300. And so I got the typical responses you would expect. And, responses like, where's this one? My only complaint, Barry, is that the tax assessors, which where I live in Virginia is all Democratic, and they raise the price of the house by assessing your home value higher. It's not true. A tax assessor cannot tell you what you have to sell for. A tax assessor is making their base point in terms of what they're going to charge you on your property taxes. It has nothing to do with the price of the house. And, I tried to tell the guy, I said, not true, buyers determine price. And he's like, not true. And I go, assessment value is for suckers. In fact, I'm going to go farther and say, if you pay at the price, that's the sucker move. Everything is negotiable, depending how fast things move. I know some of you guys are like, well, Barry's off his rocker. No, like I've been telling you, if you're going to talk to people who actually do it. Not people who sit back and go, oh, housing prices suck. Oh, they're so high. Why? Why do housing prices suck? Because you can't buy one? Because little Charlie can't buy one? Or because the people selling it realize they have an asset and there is a demand for it? Yeah, it's completely agnostic to your ability to pay. Nobody gives a shit what somebody can pay or if they can't pay. I don't care if there's some little dweeb that just graduated from college says, I can't afford a $500,000 house. They're so expensive. Don't look at the $500,000 house. That's the answer. So let me just show you something, and I want to really underscore something here. This is that house. This is a copy of the email that was sent to me. And I left something off because I'm like, if I put this in there, nobody's going to believe it. It said, showing today, text me, and I took off his number. And there's the address. It's a 4.2, 1,700 square foot house built in 1952. CBS means concrete brick construction. No liens, no violations, no HOA. That's the kind of things that investors look for. Needs a full cosmetic rehab. Roof still has 7 years of life. Needs a central AC unit as it only has wall units. So as you're reading that, that is our cheat sheet. Okay, first thing, hey, what's it need? Needs the roof's about 7 years old and blah, 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 blah. It needs an AC and doesn't scare us away. Okay, just tell me what it needs. Of course, I'd go look at it to make sure. But the bottom part of this is what you really have to pay attention to. I'm asking $415,000. That's what this person is asking. I believe it's on Zillow or Realtor for $450,000, and which I was also told somebody else here. I said, don't believe the prices you see online. There's a whole different market of real estate, especially when you're playing in the rehab market, that you have no idea. The first person that goes up and plays sticker prices is the sucker. So if this person here who sent me this email is telling me he can buy it for, he can sell it for $415,000, that tells me it's actually the seller of the property is probably asking, $320,000, $330,000, $350,000. And this guy tacked on some profit for himself. So he's like, hey, Barry, you might want to look at this house. I can get it to you for $415,000. The number underneath that is what's going to scare the hell out of you. The number underneath where it says ARV. In case you guys aren't involved in real estate, and those of you who have wanted to know, ARV means after repaired value. So, of course, you would do your own due diligence, but let's just say these numbers are correct. Let's say I could buy it for $415,000, and the after repaired value is somewhere between $570,000 and $600,000. Notice in every single data point here, it doesn't say, but the interest rate might cause it to be lower. Nobody gives a shit about the interest rate. Whether it's an investor looking to sell a property or or a homeowner looking to sell the property. I'm going to put my property out there at XYZ price, and if I get a bite and they want it, that is good for me. I don't care what the person buying is paying. So some of you may say, well, if the interest rate was lower, there'd be more potential buyers. Possibly, but I don't care. I don't care if they have to pay higher interest or lower interest. It doesn't matter. As a homeowner who's selling your property, you never say when they come hit the listing, hey, how you doing? Wow, great chandelier. You realize, Mr. Smith, that the interest rates are a little bit higher right now. Are you going to adjust your price for that? What? What are you talking about? I don't give a shit. I don't care what you pay for your mortgage. I'm asking $500,000. You got $500,000? No? Then why are we here? That hurts some people. But the numbers are what they are. So let me go back to this side here where it says ARV is 570 to 600,000. So what that means is, if I can buy this property for 415, and I can do all the stuff above, if I can do a full cosmetic rehab, drywall, floors, ceilings, electrical, plumbing, if I can do all that for, say, I don't know, $100,000, just completely remodel this entire property. If I put $100,000 into this, and I know right now it says wall units, that's got to go. Not here. That's not going to fly in Florida. So you're going to have to put in vents. You're going to have to put a new HVAC system. So I know right now, without ever going to this property, without ever stepping foot in it, it's going to cost, if I bought it at $415, my actual cost is $515. Now, if I'm all in at $515 and I could sell it for $570 to $600,000, then with cost and taxes and everything else, you could make $60,000 or $70,000 or more on this property. But that ain't gonna cut it for me. If I don't have at least, and I mean at least, a $150,000 spread, I ain't touching it. Because one of the things you don't see is the interest rate I have. If I go to my guys and say, I'm buying this house in Miami, and I want to go ahead and buy it, what are you charging me? Not the seller. Well, Barry, we'll get you the loan, but you're going to have to pay this much. I can do my calculations and say, okay, I've got carrying costs. It's going to take me, based on the days in the market, it'll take me this long to sell this piece of property once I dial it up, make it look nice. Because then, according if the numbers work, I want to sell it for $615. Now you're talking. Now you're like, I got a $200,000 spread. This is something I'd be interested in pulling the trigger on. And in none of that calculation, none of what I just showed you, does the person selling have any care about my interest rate with my people. And he doesn't have any care about, I'm telling you, you walk into a house, do it this weekend. Go on Saturday morning. There's probably open houses everywhere. And you walk in the house, I want you to go, wow, this house is nice. I could picture myself here. This would be awesome. But you know, the interest rates are a little bit high. And because the interest rates are high, I might not be able to buy this property. And then watch the person go, well, why the hell are you here? It matters not at all. It matters not one bit. The housing prices across the country are 100% based upon supply and demand. I don't care if BlackRock owns every house on the block. If BlackRock puts a sign up and says, hey, I want to sell, it's what I want to pay for it. If BlackRock, and I have competed with BlackRock in some of these companies, they don't really play as much down here in South Florida because they can't basically work against us. They may have $1 trillion to spend, but at the same token, they have their numbers that they need to work with. And even if they said, we'll take a loss on it, go for it. But it doesn't matter that BlackRock is buying, because BlackRock is not walking up to the seller and putting a gun to their head. And that's what people have a problem with. You don't realize that, that one guy said BlackRock is, they bought like 30% on the dollar. We all do. That's a business. You just have to have the capital to be able to do it. But if it's a retail deal means it's something that somebody's going to live in right away. You have to pay market price. Doesn't matter what your interest rate is. Doesn't matter if BlackRock's on the table. Because if they outbid you, then that's just because they're willing to pay more. I'm afraid to even check the comments right here. BlackRock is a monopoly. That's not true. You guys got to stop reading into this stuff. I'm trying to bring you real information. If that house across the street from me came on the market and they wanted to sell, BlackRock, just like you, can put an offer in. I could put an offer in. Joe could put an offer in. The seller the person selling the house, they're going to say, I want to go with this person or that person. BlackRock doesn't control that. I know this is like a shock to somebody, but as we were talking about mortgage fraud and everything else, that's the truth of the matter. BlackRock does not control the market. The person selling that house does. But you don't get mad at that person. Nobody says anything about the people selling to BlackRock. BlackRock's not putting guns to people's heads and say, sign this paper. No, they walk up and say, hey, we'll give you $550. Barry's giving you $530. All right, I'll take the $550. It's not a monopoly. Let's see here. Yes, you have offers and then a counter offer, and you can get into a bidding war. And that means price goes up. See, I never want to be the person chasing a knife, trying to catch a falling knife. I don't ever want to be that person, hey man, it's not selling, let's lower our price. I want to price it to the point where the sharks come and go, I'll pay you this much. I want to be Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. And I'll buy. I get offers sight unseen, and then you raise the price. The government sets the interest rates. The government sets the interest rates and controls the value of the dollar. When government sucks, so does buying homes or even renting. It has nothing to do with the real estate. It has something to do with the individual. Until you guys understand that concept, there's going to be a lot of people who still are struggling to understand why they can't get ahead. There's no boogeyman. The interest rates is what would increase the available pool of buyers, maybe, depending on what price range you're in. Down here, a lot of the pricing is interest agnostic because people just pay cash. But it has nothing to do with the pricing of the homes. Let's see here. I have been offered more than selling price due to low supply. Bingo! and so Cal Callie says, I've been offered more than selling price due to low supply. And so what's going to happen, she's going to get her offer the way she wants it. Is she doing the wrong thing or is he doing the wrong thing? Has nothing to do with interest rates. Hey man, there's a whole lot of people who want my house. Let's see here. If you can afford the house and you buy at a high interest rate, then you just wait until the interest rates go down and you can refinance. That's an option. Or put more down if you can. That's one thing. Let's see here. Just think of the millions of dollars of lost interest rate income that have been stolen by government and bureaucratic officials. That's a different story, but you are correct there. Let's see here. What else we got? It's true, Gina. Barry, you are right. But as a buyer, interest rates play a big part on whether I buy now or wait. Again, we're talking pricing. I said in my post, housing prices complaining means nothing. You are completely right. It's based on your ability to buy at whatever you can buy. It doesn't have anything to do with the price of the home, of the house. It doesn't have anything to do with it. Barry, I just got a new insurance offer for the property at $145, but I paid cash at $80. Should I pay the insurance for the difference? You had a new offer at $145? It looks like you're about to make $65,000 if I'm reading that right. If you paid $80 and they're going to give you $145, what do you mean? I'm not really understanding that. They have more money to outbid. Still doesn't change the price of the home. Yes, you can be outbid by me. But it doesn't change that housing prices are irrelevant, have nothing to do with interest rates. I'm not sure why people are having a problem with this. why you're not getting it. Yeah, interest rates don't mean anything to cash buyers. That's a you problem. Doesn't mean anything to people who are willing to... Oh, you guys asked me to do some real estate stuff, so I'm just trying to get over Real Estate 101. And Real Estate 101 is the price of the house, the price of the property, the price of this phone, the price of my watch have nothing to do with interest rates. The price of a property is 150% dependent upon supply and demand. If nobody wants this, the price isn't that much. If a lot of people want it, the price will go up. There's a reason why, like these houses that I just showed you, I was buying those houses way back for like $60,000 and $70,000. But as more people wanted to move to Florida and the demand rose, hence that's what's been going on. It's not a difficult concept. Exactly, Rhonda. Hey, Barry, no offense, but you might have to do like a separate video because I never understood the housing market. Like, it's just one of those things my parents never taught me. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a real estate thing, but it's very hard to help people understand this if they just don't grasp just basic principles. And I understand after talking to people on this show for so many months, that they've been, how can I say this? The media, their friends, their family have influenced people into such a way that they think the deck is stacked against them when it's not. The deck is not stacked against you. And I keep trying to motivate people, but it can't motivate people if they don't understand the principles. How is price? Okay, that's a little getting in the weeds here. How is price per square foot calculated? Simple. If you have a $100,000 house and it has 1,000 square feet, then it's $100 per square foot. And maybe, I don't mean to be facetious, but I mean, I thought that would be an easy one. That tells you how hard it is for people to understand what's going on here. Hey, Danny, shacks in my area are selling for $300,000 and more. But they wouldn't be if people didn't want to buy them. When things turned during the jab-ademic, and most of us were drooling because it was like, oh my gosh, are people really getting scared and bailing? Are the banks really causing this much of a problem? Because people were they couldn't afford their homes anymore. But anybody who foresaw what was going to happen, it was like we were going to have a boomerang like you don't even know. So you're telling me you want to dump this house right now because you can't afford it instead of talking to the bank and working something out. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, we want that. I know in a year, that's coming back. That's $150,000 in the pocket right there. All right, so your interest rate is based upon you and your credit score along with down payment, right? But not the price of the house. All right, so what's scheduled for later? All right, see, some people just don't like it. I'm selling some great land near Alligator Alcatraz. What's scheduled for later? All right, so I have in the can Stephen Miller and Tulsi Gabbard. I'm going to talk to you about. I'm also going to talk to you about the new monster that the Democrats have called slavery. I didn't have a chance to get to this stuff today, so tonight 7 o'clock is already in the tank. And then SV is saying that Kash Patel is now he just did a spot on Fox, so I'll have to find that as well. Let's see here. We're doing houses on my street sell for more than $500,000. Should we be okay with starting small? Sure, I did. Exactly. All right, so okay. Where'd that guy just say that? He says that it was the other way around. It says that I bought the property at 80 and it's worth 145. Yeah, you got a $65,000 spread right there. Maybe list it and see if you get a better price. And I'm not trying to beat people over the head. I understand it's some people don't want to talk about it, but I get a lot of emails. I get a lot of submitted videos where like, hey, Barry, tell us more about this and what we should know. And it bothers me to a certain extent because I'm just showing you guys little bits here and there. We talked about the mortgage fraud of Letitia James and Adam Schiff and all these other people. let me just show you one thing. If you guys aren't familiar with this, before we go, and this will give you guys some homework. Did you know that your government sells houses? You can go to this page right here. Let me show you this because it's important. Let me just go here. This is the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, otherwise known as HUD. And look at all the different ways you can buy property directly from your government. You have HUD, you have from the Department of the Veterans Affairs, you have the FDIC, you have the IRS, the Army Corps of Engineers, Customs, U.S. Marshal Service, Agriculture, from Fannie Mae, from Freddie Mac, from HUD. These are multifamily. These are all the homes that your government is trying to get rid of. All right, let's just look at from HUD. You guys can do your homework. Let's put in any zip code. Let's put in, I don't know, Atlanta. Atlanta, Georgia. And you put Atlanta, Georgia in, and all these houses, hold on, I'm going to have to change it. My viewpoint here, my perspective. These houses are available for sale right now in Atlanta, Georgia. And there's two things on here that, based on what I just told you about, that you guys should be focusing on. It's those red things at the very top, price reduced. That means the demand isn't there. The demand isn't there for these houses. So this 2-1 house in Fulton County, that if you clicked on here and looked at it, and this is the house in Fulton County that they're selling for, what was it, 115. And there's a kitchen, small kitchen, but doable, and yeah, not bad looking. It got some unfinished work there, and unfinished work there, big yard, and there's a house. So this house is being sold at this point for $185. They're asking. They can't sell it. So because they can't sell it, it's in the extended period, meaning it didn't sell with an initial offering, and now it's being sold for $185,000. Well, when you look at a HUD property, oftentimes, as you've seen, there's a HUD loan that you can get. The HUD loan, you can probably get a good FHA loan for 3% down that can be gifted to you as well. So 3% of $1,800 is $5,400. You only have to come up with $5,400 to buy that house. $5,400, and it doesn't. They don't care whether somebody gives it to you or you got it in the bank. $5,400. So as you're looking at this, and you're saying there's no affordable housing, well, I'm looking at this and saying, $185,000. I've got to put up a little over, let's call it 6, and I'm going to finance 179 at I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7%, and I'm into this home. Don't let people tell you there's no affordable housing. What they forget after that period is there's no affordable housing where I want to live. I live close to the beach. Some people have to live in Atlanta. Some people have to live in Fulton County because that's where you can afford. I don't know how else to tell people that, is if you understand the numbers, if you understand where you can look at a property and how you can get to that property, you can find a house. Damn, that's cheap. I can do. And now, just imagine, Vivian, now with the internet, I'm not saying you have a YouTube channel, but let's say you do anything. Maybe you're a, I don't know, cost adjuster for an insurance company. You get a remote job. You don't have to live where you're supposed to live anymore. You could live anywhere in the country, and if they hire you, you're like, well, I'm going to set up a computer as I fix up this house that I'm picking up for about $150,000 from HUD, and it's a nice house, and I see there's extra square footage. I'm going to turn one of these rooms into another bedroom, and I only got 3 bedrooms, and now I'm going to sell this house in a year or so, and I'm going to sell it for $220 and put $70,000 in your pocket. That's how it works. Let's see. What about VA loans? Oh, you want me to look at the? We want me to look at the VA? Hold on. Where was that? Hold on. I'll look before we go. Somebody asked about VA. Okay, so let's look at VA. All right. So, again, looking at Atlanta, Georgia. I put that in here, and oh, wait a minute. I see what you're saying. Wait a minute. Okay, and then down here it's got the different kind, first-time home buyers, but you said veterans. Okay, so from Veteran Affairs, let's go in here and look at the Veteran Affairs. Right here is all your information on home loans. No down payment required. Low interest rates. All kinds of things that you can do. They even have the buyer's guide right there, so you can download it and learn how to do it. And you can go anywhere. Once you have that voucher and you're a veteran, you can look for a house anywhere. Anywhere in the country. Stop listening to people who are telling you BS. Here, I might be missing some shows next week. Hey, Ert, you're moving into your new house. Congratulations. That's what I'm tossing around with my sister. I work remote, have paid my credit cards down, looking to move around Southeast Kansas. Yeah, just look around. Don't let people tell you you can't. Rather, to ask the people, how do I? See, I've said that many times on this show. Don't say you can't. Ask somebody, how can I? And the answer, maybe some people don't like the answer, but Jesse Jasper was. I'm sorry, Jesse, you got bounced. I don't get it. Yeah, that's me. It's funny. Oh well, it is what it is. We have to deal with the party poopers all the time. Whatever. All right, so let me do super chats and get out of here. But for 70% of you who said that interest rates determine the price of a home, not true. Not true. Okay. And if you have any questions about the property information, I'll do a show, but I only want people to show up who really want to do something. It's no sense talking to the naysayers. It doesn't work. Okay. Okay, let's go. Charlie Daniels' band, Simple Man song. That's a Skinner song, isn't it? Simple Man. Far Isle, wonderful reminder that all Vietnam protests 24/7, 365, and Nixon won 49 of the 50 states. Scream away, morons. Exactly. Brad Crane, Red Rum. Lion, thank you for your support. Thank you. Lion, when President Trump visits next month, we will not let him leave. We love him. We're going to steal him from you. Ken Romolino, Michael Schwarz interview was good. I live in South Jersey, and it's mostly MAGA here. Yeah, over by the Jersey Shore. Nicholas Lamonicus, Bear, I used to go to D.C. a lot to visit coworkers. Loved Union Station. It was great. Hope they fix Baltimore. Oh, love the Inner Harbor. We need it as well. Glad that Beth is okay and really appreciate her and her fam. Thank you. Tommy, 5 meg upgrade. Wow, this is great. Thanks, Barry. I learned this upload was needed for my audio video studio. I can play live YouTube now. There you go. Get that upper internet. Claudette Bruley, look for Betty on the street. Robert Glant, Hunter Biden, Cracker Barrel. Let's play on words there. Buddy Sanders, no more Cracker Barrels for me. Don't know who owns it. Claire Butterfield, thank you very much. Democrats practice crime. They do. Mama Mima, next movie night, The Untouchables. That's interesting. That's interesting. James Kipp, she's a dimbo. You should go on gut feel. Mary Kellens, Barry, are you selling or giving away fanfare hats? It's funny you ask that. Funny you ask that. We just put an order in today. Ashley's gonna get some. And we don't sell stuff here. I mean, I have sponsors that we sell stuff, but we're going to be giving away the hats very soon. Doc Webb, how many lawmakers will return after the break as the mortgage fraud reveals more of them? I think all hell will break loose. Maybe that's why the people are in D.C. I can't tell you. Egg Chin, Barry, bought my house and land in 2018 for $180. with 4% interest, and the land value has more than doubled, and the entire area is exploding with growth. Oh yeah, got to give you that. Got to give you that. Definitely give you that for that. Ken Romolino, Barry is the real estate expert. Why are people arguing with him when you should be taking notes? I don't know. It's a phenomenon that I've tried to figure out why people are arguing. And put it this way. If I told you all about the deal we're doing right now that we're closing on September 15th, you wouldn't believe it. And so there are some things I can't talk about because it's already bad enough that there's so many naysayers out there, but those naysayers aren't doing anything except complaining. Robert Gallant, I'm not playing with a full deck, so it's never stacked against me. Just another knucklehead. Barry VA loan only for primary residence. Watch out for that fraud. The hot for teacher on right now. Exactly. All right, so yeah, I keep trying to dip my toe into the real estate stuff, and people start biting my toes off. So we're gonna have to do something private for you guys, even after hearing all that about the mortgage fraud. All right, well, if you guys want to show up, I got a whole bunch of stuff already lined in the can for tonight. So we'll have a nice, easy show, and I will be on time. So I will see you at 7 o'clock.